Hi. Hey. It's skycat.live. What's up, guys? It's 4:25 p.m. in the evening on a 8/29/2024. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today I'll be playing some WoW hardcore, WoW classic hardcore, some EvE Online, and some FFXI, and anything else that I feel like playing. And I'm just gonna get to it. There's not much to do. I'm just gonna get to work with no further ado. And no, gotta change titles here. Twitch. Channel content is going up. Twitch live stream. No, I'm sorry. Twitch, YouTube. No, wait. YouTube, Twitch. Start to auto generate portrait versus ever click during clip creation. Okay. What are we doing? We are double checking. Yep, there's my Twitch. Gonna come and double check unlisted, public, done. Gaming, wow. And 29 Friday. Today's Thursday, is it? Oh, it is a Thursday. Nice. 29 is a Thursday. Yeah, the 29th. Yeah, 29th. English. United States. English. United States. WoW, hardcore, EvE Online, FFXI, Horizon. You don't seem to be live. You should be, but you aren't. So we'll try again. Fucking failure ass company. Just go like that. There. Save. Okay, we're gonna reload and we're gonna stop. Yes, I want to discard delay. Going through all your bullshit hassle makes me so sick. Things that should work but don't, you know? There you go. You worthless piece of shit company. Watching your software fail over and over again makes me so sick. Fuck you. Okay. So, hi guys. I'm gonna drop it off the big screen now. Deactivate. Activate. Okay, good and good. I'm gonna go see what there is for sale. I'm gonna buy 7 stacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll go back to work. Nice, I made no money. Yeah, are you? Yeah, you're going live, are you? Yeah, you are. Okay, let's start over the Philip DeFranco.
Sup, you beautiful bastards. Philip DeFranco show, you daily dive into the news, and boy, do we have a lot of news to talk about today. So you just buckle up, hit that like button to let YouTube know you like these big daily dives into the news, and let's jump into it.
Philippine Santa, a brave and valiant defender of freedom.
So first up today, let's talk about this Joe Rogan MSNBC scandal. Because if you haven't seen, it has to do with comments that he made about Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris on his podcast around a month ago. And that because, one, while talking about Tulsi, he said,
well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit, so she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want.
Then two, a few minutes later, he starts talking about Kamala saying
she's gonna win. No, she's not. She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what, and they're willing to gaslight themselves.
But then 3, Rogan called out MSNBC, saying that they posted a TikTok earlier this month that suggested that he said both of those remarks about Harris. And while that clip has since
I mean,
been
do you
removed,
like
the
him?
upload showed the other day.
She's gonna win. No, she's not. She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. So she was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's gonna win. No, she's not. She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
Right, MSNBC has gotten
Discovered
a
to
ton
Winston
of
Farmstead,
backlash.
105
So,
experience
comments
gained.
noting that half those remarks are about Tulsi Gabbard, calling it liberal propaganda, saying that Joe Rogan should sue them over this, that this is nefarious editing, Tulsi
You
even
received
sharing the
all
clip
grades
in writing. MSNBC is again
You received
exposed as a
copper two.
propaganda machine for the Democrat
You
elite,
received
and
flask
how
of
they
oil.
will brazenly
Aggro.
try to deceive
I mean, we
the
knew
voter.
that,
And
though,
all of
didn't
that
we?
led to Joe talking about it himself on his podcast this week.
They just deceptively edited the things that I was saying. Took it completely out of context and made it seem like I was praising Kamala Harris and saying a bunch of
17
things that
copper.
aren't even true about her. Like, I was talking about Tulsi Gabbard being a congresswoman for 8 years and about how she served overseas. That's not something Kamala Harris did. It's something Tulsi Gabbard did. I was just saying things about her, and they put it out there as a clip of me praising Kamala Harris. But they don't care about the truth. They just want a narrative to get out there amongst enough people.
Now there, he also added that despite rumors that have been making the rounds online, he's not going to be suing MSNBC over this incident. And as far as that clip, it's been removed, and MSNBC ended up uploading a new video with a correction saying, "We have removed an earlier version of this post that incorrectly implied Joe Rogan was talking more about Vice President Kamala Harris. He was referring to Tulsi Gabbard." And in the new upload, they only included the quotes. With all this, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts here? Well, I think no matter what, this is a very bad look. Are you in the camp that this is nefarious editing, the intent is to mislead people, or do you think it was laziness and just bad work? And I ask that while also understanding, regardless of what your opinion there is, the impact is the same. And then, so the social media industry as a whole may finally be getting the reckoning that grieving parents have been seeking for years. Right, with this specific story starting on December 7th, 2021 in a home in Philadelphia. Because that is when a mother found her 10-year-old daughter, Nyla Anderson, unconscious in her bedroom. So she rushes this little girl to the hospital, but sadly, it's too late, with Nyla dying in the intensive care unit 5 days later. With her mom telling CBS News,
She was my butterfly.
Aggro.
She was everything.
and as it turned out, what killed Nyla, it wasn't disease, it
Defies
wasn't
looter attempts to run away in
suicide, or
fear.
any of the usual culprits. Instead,
received
it was a
loot. Linen
so-called
cost 3.
TikTok challenge called the Blackout
Unit 28
Challenge,
copper.
which if you don't remember was where you had people trying to choke themselves with something like a belt or a purse string until they passed out, which unsurprisingly led to the deaths of several children, some of whose parents sued TikTok, with that including Nyla's mother, who accused the company of repeatedly pushing dangerous videos to her daughter, with her lawyer also telling the Wall Street Journal TikTok's algorithm sent what was essentially a how to asphyxiate yourself video disguised as a challenge to a 10-year-old. It is inexcusable. But in 2022, we saw a lower court dismiss the suit, citing Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. And with that, you've probably at least heard of Section 230 before as one of the
You received
foundational
loot. A
laws
simple
of the
compass.
internet, with it granting tech companies broad protection from any liability for user-generated content on their platforms. With the law initially being meant to protect children by giving companies the security to proactively take down certain content without admitting liability for the content they leave up. But in recent years, critics argue that social media has outgrown those legal protections and begun to exploit them for profit, saying these tech companies, they're using Section 230 not to protect users from dangerous content as the law intended, but to protect themselves from liability for actually promoting that content. And now, apparently the courts are starting to agree, with us seeing the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals taking up Nyla Anderson's mother's case and rejecting the Section 230 defense, arguing that by recommending blackout challenge videos on Nyla's For You page, TikTok exercised editorial judgment. And writing there, had Nyla viewed a blackout challenge video through TikTok's search function rather than seeing it because the site was suggesting it, then TikTok may be viewed more like a repository of third-party content than an affirmative promoter of such content. But of course, she didn't, so they're saying Section 230 doesn't apply. Now with this, the judge who wrote the decision acknowledged that this is a departure from previous rulings by the 3rd Circuit Court and other courts, but then arguing there that the reasoning underlying those rulings, it no longer works because of the Supreme Court decision last month, right? Because there, the High Court heard arguments over Republican-backed laws in Texas and Florida restricting which content social
Discovered
media companies
Demons
can
Place,
block, with the majority
115
opinions
experience
stating
gained.
that a platform's algorithm reflects editorial judgments about compiling the third-party speech it wants in the way it wants. So in other words, according to this Third Circuit judge's interpretation, when a platform actively curates content through an algorithm, that is the same as the platform creating the content itself. And so now the lower court has to reconsider whether TikTok is liable for Nyla's death, and this time without giving broad immunity under Section 230. And so with all this, we'll have to see, one, how the specific case turns out, but also, two, whether it opens the floodgates for more lawsuits, not just against TikTok, but all other big social media companies. And then, in legal drama news, Nina Agdal has taken another influencer to court. Right, Nina, if you don't know, she's a model. She's also Logan Paul's fiance. And this morning, you had TMZ reporting that she is suing an influencer by the name of Hassan Hayder for defamation, alleging that he falsely claimed the two slept together. Right, and per TMZ, he made those claims online between August and September of 2023, saying that he slept with Nina in a bathroom after waving a bag of cocaine at her, right, essentially suggesting that she traded sex for drugs. But Nina, she claims that this story is not true and accused him of kind of hopping on an online harassment train against her to boost his social profile, right, because he allegedly told this story at the same time Nina sued Dylan Dennis and filed a restraining order against him over his constant online trolling of her, which if you don't remember ahead of Dylan's fight against Logan, Dylan really took smack talking to another level by constantly posting photos of Nina with other men and suggesting she slept with a lot of them, also repeatedly saying he had a nuclear bomb photo of her that he could release. But that whole situation just becoming this whole other monster.
Yeah, like, why do you...
the boxing event itself.
Yeah, like,
the main thing as it relates
why are you attacking these poor, like, women like a... like?
So with this, you have TMZ reporting that she's seeking unspecified damages, so we'll have to see.
What the fuck do their girlfriends have to do with it, you stupid pieces of shit? Stop being fucking sexist, weird right-wingers, and being like, oh, your girlfriend sucks dick, blah, 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 all this stupid ass shit. What the fuck do their girlfriends have to do with it? She's right to sue you. Fuck you, weird pieces of right-wing fucking sexist, fucking misogynist pieces of shit. Every time I hear a story about the right-wing or conservatives at all, like, it's like they're like battling over women, using them as a battleground or something. It's so stupid. I fucking hate their toxic masculine, worthless piece of shit asses.
Aggro.
Here's Logan Paul using his girlfriend as a battlefield. It's so stupid.
You receive loot. Chunk of 4 MEATX2.
And how do you handle critics? Do you debate them? Do you ignore them? Or do you do like Robert Tellis and you murder them? Right, because this is journalist Jeff Gehrman, and he was a reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and in the summer of 2022, he wrote an article that would lead to his death. With that article detailing the complaints of employees,
125 experience gained.
Official Robert Tellis. With that article including accusations of a toxic work environment created by Robert, saying that he played favorites and had an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Now, Robert he denied these allegations, but about a month after this article came out, he also lost his bid for re-election. And that loss, according to prosecutors, is what led Robert to lie in wait outside Gehrman's house, hiding in the bushes and then stabbing him to death when he got home. And for that murder, he was just sentenced to life in
Defies highwayman attempts to run away in fear.
Thanks largely due to the prosecution having just heaps of evidence. The DNA
Chase
found
says,
on
anyone doing
Gehrman
DM?
matched Robert. The security footage caught an image of the assailant wearing a wide-brimmed straw hat and sneakers, which were found cut up at Robert's house. The assailant also drove a car that looked like Robert's vehicle, which was seen driving between Gehrman and Robert's houses the day of the murder. And that's without mentioning that reportedly the day before Gehrman's death, Robert learned that county officials were about to share emails and text messages sent between him and the woman that he was having an inappropriate office relationship with. Though on the other side of this, you had the defense claiming that Robert was framed, saying that Gehrman's blood wasn't actually found in Robert's car or on the shoes at his home, with his defense attorney saying there is no rational explanation as to why the hat and shoes were cut into pieces, except that they would be easier to conceal and plant, and adding that the jury should ask themselves what's missing, with Robert even taking to the stand in his own defense, reportedly speaking for nearly 3 straight hours and insisting that he had been framed, saying that Gehrman was actually killed by a hitman as part of a conspiracy involving corrupt local business people that wanted Robert to stop investigating. He also suggested that police officers, DNA analysts, and the district attorney might also be involved, and added, this thing has been kind of a nightmare. I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gehrman. But after all of that was said, yesterday the jury came back with a guilty verdict, much to the satisfaction of the Las Vegas Review-Journal executive director Glenn Cook saying in a statement, today also brought a measure of justice for slain journalists all over the world. Our jobs are increasingly risky and sometimes dangerous. In many countries, the killers of journalists go unpunished. Not so in Las Vegas. And you know, he's very right. Being a reporter can be very, very risky. With the Committee to Protect Journalists identifying 15 journalists killed in the U.S. in relation to their work since 1992. And notably, the group's project coordinator saying that local journalists face a particular risk because of their lack of resources and proximity to those they cover or criticize. But they're also noting that Gehrman being killed killed outside his home was especially disturbing, saying, "It's chilling to think that there are no safe spaces for those local journalists to go." And then, so full transparency, I sweat a lot when I'm hiking, I'm running, I'm playing basketball or soccer with my kids, and I'm also a weirdo. I love to sweat, but I, like all of us, I need to replenish with electrolytes, and that's where our fantastic partner Liquid IV comes in. You know, electrolytes, they are your best friend for beach days and triple-digit temperatures, road trips, late nights that turn into early sunrises that all require extraordinary hydration. And y'all, sugar-free rainbow sherbet is my go-to right now. I mean, it just revives me after my hikes and runs, and they're always packed in the bag for pool days too. Every stick delivers superior hydration than water alone, with real mouth-watering flavors helping endurance and vitality. And there, I'll say especially, I am loving Liquid IV sugar-free flavors.
Birds has reached level 60.
They taste great, and they have zero sugar and zero artificial sweetener. Also, the hydration multiplier sugar-free packs, they meet your sweet cravings without the sugar guilt, and most importantly, they keep you hydrated. Also, I'll say raspberry melon's a good one too. But the biggest thing, you know, staying hydrated is crucial to regulating body temperatures, keeping joints lubricated, helping deliver nutrients to cells, and more. So just tear, pour, shake, and drink. Because no matter what you're doing this summer, if you are outside, hydrate on the go with Liquid IV's multiplier sugar-free packs. Especially because for a limited time, using my discount code DeFranco, you get 25% off your order. You just click the link below, or you scan the QR code on the screen and use code DeFranco for 25% off. And then, so more than 1 million Americans, many of whom have disabilities, are being prevented from voting. And specifically, today I'm talking about Americans who are under guardianship. And if you're unfamiliar, guardianships are very similar to conservatorships. They give a court-appointed guardian, like a parent, caretaker, or even a public defender, the ability to make decisions over another person. Sometimes the decisions made by guardians, they're limited to certain things like finances or health. But in other cases, those decisions cover basically every single part of the person's life. Some of the people under guardianships are older folks who can't manage their affairs anymore. Many of them are also younger people, including some with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Now, as far as how many people are actually these kinds of grievances, it's hard to say because there's a serious lack of transparency around them. But we know things like back in 2018, the National Council on Disability estimated that around 1.3 million Americans were under guardianship agreements. So the actual number is likely a good deal higher because that was 6 years ago, and multiple studies have indicated that the number of people under guardianships has been growing rapidly. In fact, more than tripling over the last 3 decades. And disability rights advocates have long said that people under these legal agreements can sometimes be denied basic rights, which of course was a big point of discussion when these agreements got a ton of attention and scrutiny thanks to Britney Spears' high-profile battle to end her conservatorship back in 2021. While that spotlight was obviously very important, there hasn't been as much discussion about another very fundamental American right that many of these people are denied: the right to vote. Because the majority of states restrict the voting rights of folks under these kinds of agreements in some way, with more than 24 states having restrictions that differ depending on the type of guardianship or level of disability, with most requiring a judge to determine the right to vote on a case-by-case basis. And 7 states literally ban people under guardianships from voting at all, with those being Louisiana, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, Virginia, and West Virginia, with many of these state laws being decades or even centuries old and using outdated and offensive terms. Beyond that, plenty also operate under the assumption that everyone under guardianship is mentally incompetent, which we know is not true at all. So as a result, you have many experts and advocates arguing that these blanket rules effectively hold people with disabilities to a higher standard than other American voters. With, for example, Michelle Bishop, who works on voting accessibility issues for the National Disability Rights Network, explaining they somehow have to prove that they understand how our government works, what
Discovered
elections
West 4
mean,
Lighthouse,
and they have to have a
125
good
experience
reason for
gained.
voting who they want to vote for. There are a lot of non-disabled Americans who can't do any of that, and it appears the Biden administration agrees with that, right? Because just this past April, the Justice Department said that these sweeping policies are unconstitutional and illegal under federal civil rights laws, with the agency issuing guidance to state officials making it clear that they can't deny anyone the right to vote just because of a guardianship agreement, and adding it's also illegal to determine if people with mental disabilities are allowed to vote by using competency tests, which advocates have compared to the literacy tests used to disenfranchise black people during Jim Crow. But despite the fact that the federal government has literally said that blanket bans and competency tests are illegal, we still have plenty of experts defending them. Like with, for example, Dr. Paul Applebaum, the director of the Division of Law, Ethics, and Psychiatry at Columbia University,
invited you to join a group
that a minimum competency standard is reasonable, saying my concern is more with the participation of people who may simply not really understand what it is that they're doing. Others have also argued that people with cognitive impairments could have their votes influenced by caretakers or cast fraudulently, though notably there appears to be zero evidence of any widespread problem. But also, regardless of the Biden administration's public stance on this matter, it's also done nothing to actually enforce the DOJ guidance, leaving many of these folks to largely fight for their own rights. So as a result, some people have actually gone to courts to try and get their voting abilities restored. work. Although a key thing there is that is a very long and difficult process. But this also is others have directly
Aggro.
challenged state laws, and some have been successful. Like back in 2001, a federal judge overturned Maine's ban on voting rights for people under guardianships. And more recently, an Arizona court ruled earlier
Aggro.
this year that the
Murloc
state
Oracle
can't
attempts to run away in
automatically
fear.
deny voting rights to folks under guardianships without first proving that they're incompetent. Though notably, that ruling didn't
Aggro.
directly restore voting rights.
Your share of the
but
loot is
made it
two
so
copper.
each person has to request reinstatement on an individual basis. But while we wait to see if and when there's any movement either from the government or the courts, I gotta ask you, what do you think? And then, we definitely need to talk about this controversial bill
Rub-round
coming
receives
out of
loot.
California,
Murloc
because California lawmakers just
share of the
overwhelmingly
loot is 5
passed
copper.
a new bill that would put serious regulations on AI development. When I say this passed overwhelmingly, just 9 senators voted against it today. And before, when it was at the House, only another 9 opposed it there. And so really, the real pressure here is on Governor Gavin Newsom, who's getting calls to both sign and veto the bill. And there, what we're seeing are AI industry leaders unsurprisingly opposing the bill because of the new rules they would implement. Things like testing the safety
Murloc
of
Tide
those
Hunter attempts
systems
to run away in
before
fear.
implementing them. It also has a ton of new penalties for companies and gives the state's attorney general the power to sue AI companies for any harm their tech does. Although notably, that last part is limited to actual serious things like death or property damage. And what's really interesting is that those opposed to the bill and those for it don't seem to fall under normal party lines. For example, Representative Nancy Pelosi is not a fan of the bill, saying AI
Aggro.
stems from
Murloc.
California. We must have legislation that is
Using
a model
seafood.
for the
Small
nations
bundle
of the
plan.
world. We have the opportunity and
Your share of the loot is full
responsibility
cover.
to enable small entrepreneurs and
You
academia,
receive
lace
not
cloak.
big tech, to dominate. However, she
You
went on
receive
to add that she
Murloc.
felt that this bill missed the mark and that
Your
it
share
was
of the loot is 10 copper.
well-intentioned but ill-informed. You also had other California reps more staunchly
Rab says,
opposing the
RT1
bill
Questy,
and calling for
7
Newsom
sevens
to
Murloc,
veto it.
519,
The
the coast
mayor
isn't
of
clear.
San Francisco
152.
announcing on Tuesday that she opposed the bill. And
Your
there's
share of the loot is
definitely
7
a
copper.
trend here, right? Pretty much every
Using receive
representative
loot.
from the
Climb
districts
loot.
around San Francisco are opposed to the
You
bill.
receive
And I mean,
loot. Slime
outside of
Murloc
that
scale.
bubble, there's really only a handful of representatives
You receive
who are
loot.
opposed.
Small
So
bundle
another
plan.
criticism is that this would just
Aggro.
stifle
You receive
innovation
loot.
within the
Murloc.
state while letting other areas of the globe
Your share of the
move
loot is 6
forward.
copper.
Not to mention that it could lead to other states
Murloc Tide
following
Hunter
suit,
attempts to
making
run away in fear.
patchwork of regulations and hoops to jump through. Possibly most shocking for many was what Elon Musk had to say.
Using
I mean,
receive
he's been
loot. Murloc.
extremely vocal about his distrust of California
receive loot.
lawmakers, so
Slimy
much
Murloc
so
scale.
that he's moving a ton of his companies from the state.
Using
On
receive
Twitter,
loot.
he
Lesser
wrote,
healing
"This is a
potion.
tough call and will make some people
Your share of
upset,
the loot is
but
4 copper.
all things considered, I think California
receive
should
loot.
probably
Small
pass
bundle
the
clam.
SB 1047 AI safety
Your share of
bill.
the
Over
loot is
20
25
years,
copper.
I've been an advocate for AI regulation
receive
just
loot.
as we
Small
regulate
bundle
any
clam.
product/technology that is
You
a
receive loot.
potential risk
Murloc
to the
eye.
public. Though there you have some saying this might not
Your
be
share of the loot is
completely
11
out of
copper.
concern for the industry, with some outlets,
You
for
receive loot.
example,
Slimy
pointing out
Murloc
that Musk
scale.
has long called for AI regulation
receive
while
loot.
also
Crawler claw.
trying to catch up to them and developing
You receive
AIs
loot.
with
Clean
far
fish
fewer
bones.
safeguards than their competitors. Also with all
Using
this is
receive loot.
California
Small
Senator
barnacle clam.
Scott Wiener, who authored the bill pushing back against the idea that this
Aggro.
would stifle innovation and saying in a statement before
You
the
receive
vote,
loot.
I
Crawler
reject the
claw.
false claim that in order to
Aggro.
innovate, we must leave safety solely in the hands of technology companies and venture capitalists. He also addressed the idea that this could lead to a patchwork of confusing regulations across states and that he was fine with a federal law that preempted California's. And again, this is the bill has seen some massive changes from when it was first introduced, right? Because you have AI companies making it seem like it would be the death of innovation by holding them accountable if they royally fuck things up. But I mean, the previous versions of the bill, they were way harsher. Like, for example, the criminal penalties for messing up were removed from the bill. Now you only
Using
have
receive
civil
loot.
ones.
Small
Now,
bundle
the
clam.
ability to go
Aggro.
after companies, that was also
Your share of the loot
gutted.
is
They can
11
now
copper.
only go after AI companies after harm
Murloc
has
Tide Hunter
occurred,
attempts to
even
run
if
away
they're
in fear.
doing things that otherwise go against the rules.
Loot.
It also
Front
shifted
access
some of
strength.
the legal standards so that developers no
Your share
longer
of the loot is
provide
13
a
copper.
reasonable assurance of safety. With it now
Loot.
being
Using a
reasonable
selected
care,
read
which may
Front access
seem
strength.
like the same thing to non-lawyers, but apparently
Loot.
is
You
an
have selected
important
read 4.
distinction
Front
and
access
far
strength.
lower bar. That said,
Aggro.
not all of the changes were in
Rab round
favor
is
of
selected
big
read 4.
tech. One
Front
important
access
one,
strength.
for example, is that if you are a developer working on
Read roll.
open source
22
stuff
for
and
front
you
access
spend
strength by
less than
skycat.live.
$10 million fine-tuning an AI,
Loot.
you're
Read roll.
not actually
30 for front
considered a
access strength by
developer.
Rab
That means that you're not liable under
Loot.
the bill.
Read roll.
Any
40 for
issues
front access
would
strength by
rest with
Musin.
the original developer. So one of the big questions
Loot.
right now
Using
is,
one.
well, what is
Front
the
access
FFXI
strength.
going to do? Because as of filming this, he has not given
Using
any
receive loot.
indication
Front
one
access
way
strength.
or the other. Though you have people noting he
Murloc
does
Oracle attempts to
come
run
from
away
that
in
San
fear.
Francisco bubble, and there appears to be something in
Your
the
share
water
of the
there
loot is
that just
17 copper.
happens to make people love their big AI companies. And then, in big international news, cartel violence has gotten so bad in Mexico that the country is still trying to come up with creative solutions to keep the justice system just going. Right? And one issue in particular is that all levels of the criminal justice system
Rab
are
rouse
getting
Aggro.
targeted
RT1
for
Questy.
assassination,
77 Murloc Oracle 419. The coast isn't clear.
prosecutors, and
152.
judges. And so because of this, outgoing President AMLO is proposing that judges now do cartel-related cases while masked
loot.
and
Slimy Murloc
anonymous.
scale.
And I mean like fully hidden. And in some
Your
states,
share of the loot is
this
9
just
copper.
might be necessary. Take Zacatecas,
Your share
for
of the loot is
example.
3
They are
copper.
one of the worst hit states recently. In December of 2022, a judge was gunned down after leaving court. And since then, 103 judges within the state are reported to have received threats. And again, all of that is within just one state. And sure, the level of
Aggro.
security in Mexico heavily varies from state to state as drug and human trafficking routes change. And while for some this seems like an elegantly
You receive
simple
loot.
solution,
Scale of old Mercai.
it might actually also have some drawbacks.
You receive
and
loot.
that
Shiny
because
fish
this isn't
scales.
the first time a system like this has been
You
used.
receive
For
loot.
example,
Patched
back in
Brother Jerkin.
1990s, Peru also hid
You
judges
receive
with
loot.
masks
Small
or
barnacle clown.
behind screens when presiding over cases cases of
Your share of the
Shining
loot is
Path
10 cover.
members. Well, we won't get into every detail
User
there. You
receives
just need
loot.
to know that they were a
Scalable merguy.
communist guerrilla group that had no problem assassinating.
Rabrau receives
But
loot.
what we saw there
Scalable
is that
merguy.
while yes, the anonymity did help
Rabrau
protect
says,
judges,
RT1
it
Questy,
also
1/1
arguably led
scalable
to
merguy 420 to
miscarriages
coastal
of
menace.
justice. In fact, so
104.
much so that a ton of retrials happened and a
User
lot of the
receives loot.
defendants
Clan
were
me.
acquitted. And this is the UN is also
receives
wary
loot.
of
Clan me.
anonymous judges, warning that it's likely a violation
receive
of a
loot.
suspect's
Clan me.
right to due process. Also, another problem is
You
that this
receive loot.
little
Clan me.
mask provision, it's part of a wider set of
You receive
judicial
loot. Clan
reforms
me.
in Mexico that are widely opposed
You
by
receive loot.
judges and their
Clan me.
staff. With a shorter version of this being
Skycat
that
says,
AMLO
chat.
and his allies, who easily have enough
Rabrau
votes in
receives loot.
Congress to
Clan me.
force this through, they want to replace all
Musen leaves
judges
the
by
party.
2027 via popular votes.
You are
With
now
the
the group
argument
leader.
being that this will ensure that judges are less
Your group
corrupt
has been
and fix a
disbanded.
backlog of cases that makes the Mexican legal
Murloc
system
Tidehunter
one of the
attempts to run away
slowest
in
out
fear.
there. But you also have critics saying this is just going to cause complete chaos in the legal system. Right? People with minimal experience, they could get elected. It guts the checks and balances that an independent judicial branch gives, and it doesn't actually address the backlog issue. And that's without mentioning, the potential constitutional crisis. I mean, this is so controversial that pretty much all Mexican judges
You
are
feel
on
rested.
strike right now, and they're refusing to process
You
cases.
receive item.
And so, while
Healing potions
obviously we're
5.
going to keep our eyes on this to see what happens
receive item.
next, I
Embossed
gotta
leather
pass the
vest.
question off to you. What do you think about a masked and otherwise anonymous judge? Do you think the chaos and the danger of the situation there?
Justice is blind. I think it is actually a serious matter of social Yeah, I mean, I said what I meant to say. I think it is actually a serious matter of corruption when a judge isn't blindfolded. When I was 17, I had a blind drug court judge. Best judge I ever met, and I had met a lot. Denver wouldn't have been I ever met, and I have met a lot. I have met a lot. Denver would have been lost without him. After being a client of his court for 11 months, I understood how truly corrupt any judge is if they don't wear a blindfold. Naturally, legally, blind since birth. He saved so many juveniles' lives. Mine included. After being a client of his court for 11 months,
You are now AFK, away from keyboard.
I understood how truly corrupt any judge is if they don't wear a blindfold. You understand what I'm saying? They're morally bankrupt if they aren't blind. You want to restore our faith in the justice system? As I have zero.
Verisani yells.
Quite
Selling portals.
quite
Also have most
literally
enchants.
below zero. Don the blindfold willingly. Racist, corrupt assholes.
Backstab says, Cersei backstabs enchant star 275 LFW.
You are no longer AFK.
I think it's actually a serious matter of corruption when a judge isn't blindfolded. When I was 17, I had a naturally, legally blind since birth.
William says, if you want her back, you're gonna have to beg.
Don the blindfold willingly. You've been pushing that rich white fucking bullshit fucking good old boy fucking SCOTUS corruption for 300 fucking years. I tell you, you must don the blindfold willingly. One of the first laws that I would ever fucking enact if I was ever to become a leadership in this country is I would immediately force every judge in the land to don a goddamn blindfold every time they stepped into the courtroom. I'm dead serious too. I'm really sick of the image and the business and how badly America was done. And one of the ways that we were really truly done and fucked was how corrupt our judges are. Done and truly fucked, you know. Dead serious. We got done and truly fucked. I mean, those SCOTUS is so corrupt. Look at the repeal of Roe v. Wade. You'll understand that, motherfucker, you better be donning a blindfold if you want to step into a SCOTUS position. I don't want you to see race or color or anything like that. Race or gender or anything like that. I want equality out of you, and your eyes are your worst enemy.
Safety deposit boxes for valuable items.
I want you to see them as Americans who need help, and not you know, people of other color or anything like that. I don't, like, honestly, I do. When I saw a judge who was not constrained by the judgments of a visually, you know, seeing man, I saw true justice, and I saw the greatest judge I'll ever meet, and I understood something better once I had seen it. You know?
Welcome to my
Once you've had a blind judge, you can't ever look back and not understand once you've had a blind judge, seen a different way, you can't go back. Our judges are so worthlessly beyond the pale for redemption, corrupt. It's the isms in their heart that cause it. If they were blindfolded, no issue. Not kidding. Just another way in which humans could simply
It justifies it, or no, this is...
look at the repeal of Roe v. Wade.
is a slippery slope, or it's just to jump off of a cliff. What are you thinking and why? And then you're struggling to turn your brain off once your head hits the pillow, tossing,
Yes.
turning, waking up multiple times.
Happened to
throughout
me
the night.
today.
It is a
I did not get to bed till 11 or something like that, and I went to bed at 4. I just sat there for 7 fucking hours. Couldn't sleep, had no idea why. I just sat there. I doped up twice on sleeping
Circle backsteps and
pills.
chant star
And I was like,
275
I don't
LFW.
know. I can't. I can't.
Fresh bread for sale.
I came back here because I need to train lockpick. And I did not have food, which means I must go fish. Or, well, I don't know. Let's see. Yep, bristle whisker catfish. The best place to catch this. Felwood. Oh, really? Oh, good. Okay, so I can fly to Redbridge. Okay, that's where I need to go. Okay, that works, because I need to cook, and I need to eat, to fish. So we will do so. Damn it.
These great beasts know paths that you can't find on foot. They'll get you there fast and maybe show you something new at the same time.
Warp drive active.
But also, I'll say, listen up, because the sponsor of the PDS, Beam Dream, is made with the highest quality sleep promoting ingredients to help you and me unwind from busy days and get the deep sleep that we need and deserve. You know, I've been using Dream for years now, and I am sleeping better. And a very important note, it does not make me feel groggy in the morning. I wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Plus, there's no added sugar, and it's only 15 calories with a lot of delicious flavors to choose from, like peanut butter, their original flavor, cinnamon cocoa, which I still love, and white chocolate peppermint. And just one scoop of Beam Dream is clinically shown to help you fall asleep faster, sleep through the night, and wake up refreshed. And I'll also say this summer I've found myself drinking my Dream over ice, and I've been absolutely loving it. Though they also, if you need, have Beam's Dream capsules, which are also great to have when you're traveling. And fantastically, Beam's Labor Day sale is one of their biggest of the year. So go to shopbeam.com/DeFranco and get up to 40% off site-wide. But also hurry, right? This deal is only available for a short time, and your discount will automatically be applied at checkout. And then, so in super fun news, there's this whole new wave of state laws that can let police get away with murder. Literally. And specifically, what I'm talking about is the growing effort in a number of red states to enact what's known as buffer laws, or with those making it a crime for bystanders to get within a certain distance of on-duty police officers when they ask people to step back. You know, there's been a lot of discussion around these policies recently after one of them officially took effect in Louisiana at the beginning of August, with that blocking people from standing within 25 feet of police once ordered back, with violations being punishable by $500, 2 months in jail, or both. You know, unsurprisingly, this law has faced a ton of criticism from many different people who argue that it's going to make it harder to record officers when they engage in excessive force, misconduct, or really any other practices that could be considered police brutality. With, for example, the legal director of the ACLU of Louisiana telling ProPublica that often the only way false charges can be disputed and excessive force can be proven is when the actions of police are filmed in close proximity. With him adding, in the absence of video or audio evidence, it's very difficult to convince anyone that the story occurred in any way different other than what the police report. While the law doesn't specifically mention recording, critics say that it is clearly the intent, with them noting that Louisiana already has a law that makes it illegal for people to interfere with police while they're working. And one legal expert explaining that police work is currently protected under that rule, and the new measure just, quote, criminalizes citizens for engaging in constitutionally protected activity and discourages citizen oversight of law enforcement. And that argument about constitutional protections is one that we've seen a lot, with many claiming that this policy effectively violates the First Amendment right to record police.
Big
that
data
has been
success.
upheld by
Anyone for
numerous
15
federal
excavation
courts,
progress
which
report.
is why we've seen a group of
298.
journalists
15
and news
Bengals missing
outlets
supplies.
suing,
2038.
citing past precedent establishing that the press was designed to serve as a powerful antidote to any abuses of power by governmental officials. But then arguing this buffer law grants law enforcement officers limitless, standardless discretion to prevent journalists from approaching near enough to document the way officers perform their duties in public places, and asserting that 25 feet is often too far to obtain a clear line of sight for videos and pictures and too great to reliably capture audio recording, and claiming that this effectively allows officers to block journalists and the general public from reporting for any reason or no reason on a wide range of events of public interest, including a parade, a rally, an arrest, or an accident scene. Now, with that said, on the other side, we've seen Republican lawmakers who passed the legislation and other supporters
Big data
arguing that
success.
it's
Anyone for
necessary to
15
protect
excavation
police
progress report.
from bystanders who
298.
become
15
aggressive
Bengals
or
missing supplies.
interfere with their ability
2038.
to do their job. So again, Louisiana already has a law for that. But there, you had the state representative who wrote the bill arguing that it will give officers peace of mind and safe distance to do their job, and adding, at 25 feet, that person can't spit in my face when I'm making an arrest. The chances of him hitting me in the back of the head with a beer bottle at 25 feet, it sure is a lot more difficult than if he's sitting right here. Also, proponents have claimed that with camera advancements, journalists and bystanders are still able to get close enough to properly record the police. But there, many journalists have pushed back, arguing that there are a lot of people who miss while filming from that distance, with one reporter telling ProPublica, you can't even get an officer's badge number at 25 feet, so there's no way to hold anyone accountable. And what's more, many critics have said that the law is super vague on a number of insanely important questions. Like, for example, who on the scene will determine what is 25 feet away and what happens if that 25-foot perimeter is on someone's private property? Experts also arguing that a 25-foot buffer is just going to be too difficult to establish in real time, and that the law is open to being abused by officers who will use it to intimidate observers. In fact, multiple journalists in Louisiana have said that they're hesitant now to cover protests over concerns that they'll face criminal charges just for getting too close to an officer. One explaining, I was thinking about how far exactly 25 feet is, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's going to be whatever the officer wants it to be. And if it doesn't get to court, it won't matter because they'll have accomplished what they wanted, which was to get the cameras away. Then even beyond all that, critics say that Louisiana's buffer policy is concerning because there are multiple recent examples in the state where recordings from journalists in close proximity to police have shown the use of excessive force. Like in 2016, for example, when demonstrators took to the streets of Baton Rouge to protest the police killing of Alton Sterling. And there you had law enforcement officials armed with rifles and body armor responding with force, pushing demonstrators back and forcibly arresting around 200 people, including some who were injured. And And afterward, a group of protesters and 2 journalists sued, accusing the police of violating their constitutional rights when arresting them. And there, we saw the city eventually settling the suit and agreeing to pay $1.17 million. And the key thing there is that the lawyer for the plaintiffs told ProPublica that pictures and videos taken by witnesses and journalists were essential in contradicting the police argument that the protesters had been the aggressors. And the 2 journalists who were arrested said that they would not have been able to take photos that were used to debunk the officers' version of events under this new buffer law. And, they also said that Louisiana law enforcement officials have a history of targeting journalists who report acts of excessive force, with them claiming that they were arrested specifically because they had been taking pictures of protesters being slammed to the ground, dragged across pavement, and zip tied. Additionally, you have other examples like video being recorded by bystanders being critical in a lawsuit against 2 sheriff's deputies who arrested a black woman outside of New Orleans in 2020, with the officers there reportedly seeing the woman riding a motorcycle without a helmet, which she denied and confronted her. The conversation getting heated and the woman accusing the officers of harassing her because she was black. And so she called her 14-year-old son and 15-year-old nephew to come outside and report what was going on, which they did. And when the deputies told them to go back to the porch more than 25 feet away, they refused. And as one of the deputies forced the woman to the ground, the other shoved her son, blocked his view, and pointed a taser at him, with the teen allegedly saying, "You can't tase a child," to which the officer responded, "Watch me." And because this got documented on video, this past May, a jury found that the officer had intentionally inflicted emotional distress on the 14-year-old and ordered the local sheriff's office to pay $185,000. Right? And in addition to those examples, many have also raised concerns about the buffer law taking effect in Louisiana, where multiple police forces have a super sketchy track record. The New Orleans Police Department has been under federal oversight since 2013 because of widespread abuses like excessive use of force and racial discrimination. And the state police, they're currently under DOJ investigation after the Associated Press discovered over a dozen incidents in the last decade where troopers beat black men and then tried to cover up their actions. But of course, this also goes way beyond Louisiana, right? Because recordings or photos taken in close proximity have played a key role in numerous high-profile police brutality cases all over America, with of course one of the most infamous in recent years being the murder of George Floyd by Officer Derek Chauvin. With that video, which was recorded by a 17-year-old girl who stood a few feet away, including essentially the victim show. And very significantly here, police buffer laws didn't even exist at all before Floyd's death, with experts saying the proliferation of these measures
and the dam are open to attacks as well. I've no choice then, it seems. I'll need hired arms. How about you? You seem a likely sort adventurer. A group of ogres has set up camp on the northeast of the lake. Perhaps you could recruit some others and help remove the threat to our town.
years is a direct result from lawmakers trying to claw back ground that they feel they lost. Right, and as I mentioned earlier, Louisiana is not the first. This is part of a growing trend. It's actually the fourth state to enact some kind of buffer law. In fact, in 2022, Arizona became the first state to implement one of these policies after the then Republican governor signed a measure that explicitly banned people from filming police within 8 feet. But notably, because the right to film police has been established in the courts, Arizona's policy was struck down by a federal judge after a group of media outlets sued. So what happened after that is the buffer laws evolved to become more vague, so as not to target that specific right to film. With Indiana, which was the next state to pass a similar law, as well as Florida and now Louisiana, all implementing legislation that doesn't mention filming, but requires just people to stay at least 25 feet from police. And so now it seems that at least one of those laws has been able to withstand legal tests. Because last year, a journalist in Indiana filed a lawsuit after being pushed 25 feet from a crime scene, arguing that the move made it impossible for him to observe the incident and it violated his First Amendment right to record the police. But there, a federal judge dismissed that suit earlier this year, arguing that 25 feet is a short distance and that any effect on speech is minimal and incidental only. Though notably, that decision has been appealed and another suit has been filed against Indiana's law. But still, you have experts saying that if those suits, the Louisiana case, or any future constitutional challenges are upheld, we'll see more states enacting similar policies. So clearly, the stakes here are super high, not only for police accountability, but for the protection of essential free speech rights. And so for now, we'll have to keep an eye on the situation, but in the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this situation? But that, my friends, is the end of your Thursday evening, Friday morning dive into the news. That said, I know we're going into a holiday weekend, but do not worry, I will be here to inform and or ruin your day on Monday. Because like I always say, I gotta be the most consistent thing in your life. always. I love yo faces. Stay safe, and I'll see you then.
Mm-hmm. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I thought about doing this. I realized that you can get like an ounce of weed for $50 in Cali, but it's still $450 in the parks in New York. And I was like, that is a 8 or 10% markup, or whatever. That was 8 or 10 times markup. And I thought about doing this when I was young. I was like, smart man takes advantage of that. Things that you don't do because you don't really want to be a kingpin, but you're actually extremely fucking skilled at it. Maybe when my family dies, I'll just go Walter White. I've got connections out here. There's not really... I even have a cook who I can bring out here. I know that he would come. If I was like, yep, you can come out here. You won't have to deal with anybody at all. You can just have your own place. Never have to worry or worry about food or any water or any of that again. And in return, all you have to do is make sure that we can get high. That was it. And enough to sell, you know. And I mean, right now it's still 50G, 70T, 90B. So that's the thing about going back to being a kingpin after my family dies, because it's what I'm actually good at. It's fucking stupid. Some people have skill sets, you know. I think I might be quitting Linux and going back to Windows.
Oh, hello, guys and gals.
Why are you smelling your fucking shoes? You're disgusting.
Also, today's video is sponsored by our friends over at Vessi. It's actually a shoe brand I've been wearing for a few years now. And let me...
Do you huff your own sock farts often? Like, seriously, do you huff your own sock farts often? Fucking gross. I really, like, unironically almost puked in the sink. Good intro.
Feature waterproof shoes. Have you ever had an inkling to run around in the rain or actually step in a puddle? I know you get that feeling. Maybe it's your little stim. I get it. I have that same feeling too. But one of the genuine worst feelings is obviously having a wet foot. I genuinely hated it as a child. And one of the things that I enjoy is just a nice, comfy, relaxing shoe. The waterproof stuff is like the big added benefit. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, with the Courtside Classic series, you too can experience city life daily adventures while living a cool, carefree, waterproof foot life while actually upping your style points in your city. Wearing these bad boys around, ladies and gentlemen. And you don't just have to wear them. You can wear it when it's nice and dry outside. Actually, they're pretty much great for all weather types out there. And of course, if you gotta walk the dog real quick on a night when the grass is extra wet, well, that's where these bad boys come in. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make the most out of your city life with actual vintage looking...
See, the frame rate on this server dropped.
Try Vessi's Courtside Classic and get a pair today with an automatic 15% off at your first checkout. And get ready to stay cool and dry, and let's get to the video. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and yeah, you read the title right. I'm thinking of quitting Linux and going back to Windows. No, this is not a joke. This is actually something that has been pondering in my head for the last couple months, to be honest with you, okay? And ever since I had bought my RTX 4090 and made that video about a year ago where I literally built one, I basically made one graphics card turn into 32, I figured, yeah, this could be something that I want to chase down the road, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, to start off with, I've been a Linux user primarily on my channel for 4 years now. I've been basically talking about how awesome Linux is, I've been pushing it, and I've been kind of what I believe to be a bit of an evangelist about it, okay? Yes, I have to tell people like you that I use Arch Linux, alright? I'm sorry, ever since I installed it, there's this weird brain worm that I've gotten in me that is impossible to remove, okay? There's like an aura of something you need to tell people all the time. But to give you an idea, I don't hate Windows, and I'm not going to shame anybody for using Windows. I know that I make plenty of videos ripping on Microsoft Windows all the time, and that's because of shitty decisions that Microsoft has made in regards to things like Copilot, and the fact that I genuinely do not trust everything that Microsoft does as a company, especially when they're running bare metal on my system. So why am I making a video considering of going back in time? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking over here real quick, you can see that I've got a Steam page open in an actual virtual machine right here. And this virtual machine, ladies and gentlemen, actually allows me to run full-on games like Yakuza Kiwami 2, no joke, right underneath an actual virtual machine using only one graphics card. At this moment in time, as I've launched this game, I am in fact splitting up my graphics card in real time, so I can use the same GPU in a virtual machine and my actual home computer. All right. Now, there's a couple of reasons why one would do this route, and I'll give you a real-world example right now. I use this to play Elden Ring co-op with the wife. So at the time, there was this mod called Seamless Co-op for Elden Ring, and it's a great mod that allows you to basically play the entire the entire game of Elden Ring with your friends. So at the time, my wife's computer just couldn't run Elden Ring. I think her GPU was a little too old. So I was literally too lazy to go and upgrade the thing myself. So I decided to split my 4090 in half and basically let her play with one half of the 4090 and I played with one half. And we basically got all the way through Godric before we just stopped, okay? Like, it was one of those things where we played a hefty amount of the game and we were playing it, you know, high settings, 60 frames for both of us. And it was truly an impressive piece of technology. Now, since then, I've been trying to chase that same high underneath Linux. Unfortunately, I haven't reached it. Now, to give you an idea, there is something known as GPU paravirtualization, which is virtualizing your graphics card. And a lot of virtualized tools have 3D drivers that now can let you play full games in them. So when I want to play an old PC game underneath my computer, I don't just try to run the binary. I just run it in VMware, okay, or VirtualBox, because they have 3D drivers. But that only goes so far, all right? What if you wanted to run something like Yakuza Kiwami 2, or a shooter, or a game relatively recent that came out underneath a virtual machine?
Quagmire says,
well,
used to be a
underneath
white-crafted
Linux,
one.
there's not that many options, okay? For a while, there was something known as libvfio, which had some showcase of people playing Call of Duty Warzone 1.0 on it with really good frame rate, okay? They were splitting one card. So there's a problem with this entire setup. For one, it took a little while to get going, and currently underneath the 4090 that I use, it is perpetually in development, meaning that maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't. So upgrading too far down the road can cause you issues running this. Now, the other thing was something known as vGPU unlock, which required you to get access to NVIDIA's like developer business side of things and basically modify or alter the driver of your actual like NVIDIA GPU so you could resemble something known as a quad bus. So basically, at a server level, what companies allow you to do is split or virtualize portions of your graphics card, and this is something that's locked to big companies. And of course, when you get to a later point, you need to actually start patching your Linux kernel. And at this moment, it becomes a matter of, do I really want to go through this for, you know, do I really want to go through the insane effort involved that's just not even going to be entirely functioning for me, provided when some of these like developer agreements go up or expiration dates start to hit. So later on, I looked into something known as VirGL, which was an actual graphics driver for QEMU. But of course, this only went so far, and trying to get this thing to function
appropriately underneath an NVIDIA graphics card rendered me with node errors and things that just would not initialize. And even when I thought it was working and it said it was working, I was getting like 2 frames, maybe 1 frame on average with a lot of these benchmarking tools, which showed me that yes, it told me it was working, but it probably wasn't working. Now I saw recently there was something known as VirtIO GPU Venus, which was something where I saw a few videos of some users playing Dead Space Remake at like 60 plus frames per second, Resident Evil 8 Village in a very, very impressive frame rate. So I thought, oh, maybe this is the route that I should go down. But unfortunately, it also involved having an AMD graphics card, which I did not have. I had an NVIDIA one, and you had to start downloading specific Linux kernel patches. Now, if you think that I'm paranoid as fuck when it comes to running regular software in my system,
You receive loot.
I
Ice
am
cold MILKS5.
triple paranoid when it comes to installing somebody else's patches in the actual OS's kernel itself. It's just never gonna happen. So that high that I experienced with my significant other playing Elden Ring was something that only was reflected in Windows. So at this moment in time, I wanted to kind of guide you through the history of why I even went down this road. 4 years ago, I made a video where the goofy Mutahar face comes from, where it was titled literally me building a virtual gaming like VM. And I did this because at the time for the virus investigation series, I was looking into this PUBG malware. But I didn't want to run malware on an actual system. I wanted to run it in a virtual machine that could run something like PUBG. So what I did was I installed my own, Linux operating system, and I used a Type 1 hypervisor. Now the thing about a hypervisor is if you look into the actual types, a Type 1 hypervisor is something that is embedded in the machine's firmware. A Type 2 is something that you install on the machine and it actually works with the machine's operating system. So when you install something like VMware or VirtualBox, there's a good chance that is a Type 2. A Type 1 is something that is known as KVM, which is something built into the Linux kernel itself, and it's a part of the actual process. A lot of big servers use it, and a lot of smaller guys like me who just want to have split up GPUs use it all the time. So the thing about it is,
Healer says, anyone knows where is the massacre?
Microsoft has the same thing. They have something known as Hyper-V. Now, Hyper-V is something that you can install right now if you have Windows 11 Pro. But you probably are using Hyper-V without knowing if you own an Xbox. See, every time you fire up a game on an Xbox, what it does is it launches a brand new virtual machine where it allocates a certain amount of the actual system's resources. So it runs games in a virtual environment. It sandboxes a game from the rest of the Xbox's operating system. So the way that Hyper-V works is you have Hyper-V, basically your host computer, and your actual operating system, so Windows, like what we're using over here to record my footage, my desktop, this is running in a virtual machine. But you probably won't notice it because that's how Hyper-V works. And within Hyper-V, you can then create multiple machines. And then you can do things like GPU partitioning, which we'll get to later on. So the thing about all of this is when I started making that video, it was pretty simple. I built a Linux box. I basically had a integrated GPU, which was a graphics processing unit that's built right into your processor. And I had my RTX, I think it was like the 1080 or the 2000 series at the time. So what I did was I used something known as VFIO, and it hijacked the card as the system was booting, meaning Linux could not access that graphics card. I then passed that over to the virtual machine I had built, and lo and behold, I could game underneath Windows. Now, one of the first few videos that I saw on YouTube was like literally right here, where some guy was playing Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, just like this. And I was blown away by this. This was uploaded like 10 years ago, so it was something that was entirely possible at the time. And of course, one of the most popular videos I think that came out of this topic was a channel known as Level 1 Linux, Level 1 Techs. So Wendell had shown GTA 5 running underneath Arch Linux, or running underneath any form of Linux, to be honest with you. Nowadays, this whole process is super duper simple to do, and there's an entire wiki that you can follow that'll just basically work and get you up and running, I would say, within an hour, depending on your skill, right? If you're really skilled, I'd say minutes. But with all of that being said,
experience gained 1,550
years. Because later on,
You receive
what
item,
happened
Grayson's
was
torch.
games like Rainbow Six Siege had started to implement, really stringent checks into their anti-cheat. Now, anti-cheat technology is not new, and if you look at anti-cheat stuff now, there's a lot of popular games that just will not work underneath this method. But at the time, what had happened was my gameplay on Rainbow Six Siege was met with me being kicked out of sessions every single minute. And this happened because the anti-cheat, BattleEye, was basically detecting that I was in a virtual machine, and they kept kicking me out. So immediately I thought to myself, wow, the whole reason I built some of these things was to game on. If I can't play the games that I'm most passionate about, maybe this project starts to die. But then Valve really put a lot of its time and money focus into building the Proton system. So nowadays, you might be using the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is truly a magical piece of brilliant engineering. It's one of the best handheld systems that I own, but a lot of it comes from Valve's Linux development. So basically, the way that Linux gaming works now is a lot of game developers and publishers develop Linux games, but they don't have a financial incentive to build Linux versions of games. See, most of the world uses Windows. It's the entrenched operating system, and for the most part, it's a pretty decent OS. So when people are using Windows, all right, that's the primary operating system, and that's what games are developed for. That's what a lot of software is made for. Linux is more often an afterthought, and technologies like Proton and Wine, which translate Windows binaries on the fly for Linux-compliant POSIX calls, typically this is the best that developers and publishers are going to want to do. If it just works under this software stack, they're happy with it. Now, it's gotten so good that in the last couple years, it used to be 4 years ago when a brand new game would launch, you'd probably wait around a couple weeks for it to be playable. Now, games like Black Myth Wukong pretty much work right out of the box. I was playing this on the Muda console in my basement, which runs on SteamOS, a customized fork of Linux that literally gives you that SteamOS interface on an actual box. I was playing it just fine on it, okay? Black Myth Wukong works great. Counter-Strike, because it's a Valve game, has an actual native Linux version. Dota 2. And of course, the fourth most played game, fucking PUBG, somehow with 720,000 players still on. That is obviously worked because of the fucking anti-cheat. Naraka Breakpoint, Apex Legends, Once Human, GTA 5, Rust,
Wally says, LFGDM.
Elden Ring. A lot of these games work pretty well underneath Linux. In fact, if anything, they're about as closest to the Windows experience as you're getting. So for anybody that's gaming, provided you're not playing fucking Call of Duty, which, sure, that might be one game other than PUBG in this Linux system that work in Rainbow Six Siege, and for some reason EA Sports Football Club 24, which I heard is great, but it's not worth reinstalling Windows over. A lot of the stuff works just fine underneath actual Linux Proton.
Lanana says,
and it works
Messenger
just as good as Windows. And honestly, if you sat down somebody and just hit the play button and gave them access to a game, they wouldn't even be able to tell what operating system they're playing. It just works that good. So at this moment in time, I had done a little computer and I went to the RTX 4090. So I went from having 2 graphics cards in my computer to having 1 GPU. And the reason for that is the RTX 4090 is such a fucking behemoth of a card that you literally cannot fit anything underneath it or around it. That card will just absolutely take over the system. Now, it is a great card. For the price that you're getting for it, you're getting a pretty strong GPU. The problem is, you can only have one of these things in your system. So I also have an AMD Ryzen CPU, which doesn't come with an integrated graphics card. So I decided to do something known as single GPU pass-through, where I was basically swapping my graphics card between operating systems like it was hot potato. So what I had done was I created a set of scripts that, as I was launching a virtual machine, it would basically uninstall my graphics card, okay, unload it from my system, and just pass it over through a virtual machine. And boom, I'm playing Windows games. It would just be like a dual boot without actually going through the whole boot up part. Now, if I shut down Windows from my virtual machine, it would then basically reattach the graphics card back into the Linux virtual machine and fire up the desktop environment. So it's a pretty rough way, but you can use one graphics card across multiple operating systems. Now, the problem with this is, compared to my original setup, my dream setup, this was one where I literally was just switching between operating systems, and I lost some of that luster that I really cared for. So for instance, this is a diagram of my computer back in the day, okay, about a year or 2 ago. This box, this big box, represents my computer. Now my first operating system that I fire up is Linux, right? Denoted by 1, and this box that says Linux. Look, I'm not an artist, don't rip on me. Whenever I needed to use Windows to record footage or stream to the public, I would basically fire up a VM that would just be Windows, right? So here is Windows, poorly done right here, and of course if I needed sometimes Mac, I could pass up another VM. So the way that I would actually stream and record footage between this Windows was to use something known as Looking Glass, which was actually a piece of software that allowed me to capture the frame buffer from Windows and show it into Linux. So I could put it into OBS and just stream it out for people to watch. And so even if my Windows operating system crashed for whatever reason, it would just reboot and none of you would know that, you know, it would even have crashed. It was an insanely awesome piece of technology that I used when I had 2 graphics cards in my system. But obviously, since I went to a single GPU solution, this whole dream pretty much
Slime which says,
fucking died.
LFM did mines need heal slash
Now,
DPS.
since a year ago, and I played Elden Ring with the misses, with 1 GPU, I've had this hankering to go back to GPU partition. So to give you an idea about how this shit actually works, I installed Windows in a second hard disk drive, and I actually have it running amongst my actual core system. So if you look real carefully over here, you can see that I've got a Windows system running on a 500 gigabyte SSD that I have plugged into my system right here. Now, in a lot of cases, this is a Windows operating system that just is minding its own business. It's running bare metal, and you can tell it because it's calculating the CPU just like it normally would. It's got 128 gigabytes of memory, and it's calculating all of my drives, SSDs, and it's even calculating everything on my actual GPU. Now, there's a lot of shame, obviously, involved with me if I had to switch back to Windows, but I wanted to look at the actual technologies that some of the community was coming up with to make the experience more like Linux and far less bloated than one would imagine. And one of the actual tools that I saw was from a channel known as Chris Titus Tech, who is a pretty awesome Linux channel, but somebody that creates really amazing utilities to basically de-bloat Windows, so you can get the most out of your hardware and the most, you know, out of your actual system without dealing with all of the extra bloat that exists in Windows. So if you don't want shit like their AI, if you don't want even a calculator tool, you can basically get rid of whatever you want. But there are other tools. Obviously, one that I saw on Mental Outlaws channel, Kenny, he actually showed something known as Win11 debloat. Now, I don't personally think that debloating is all that important for
Slime which
Windows.
says, LFM did mines need
I
DPS.
think that in a lot of cases, I compare it to like a car. You know how people will be like, man, I could probably get some better gas mileage if I took out the passenger, you know, seat out of my car and just threw it out. But yeah, you could get marginally better performance out of your vehicle. You just lose the ability to have a second person sitting in your vehicle, okay? Which might work for you if you have like no friends or anybody. I don't know how legal that might be. I wouldn't try it. But I kind of equate it to things like that. There's a lot of stuff that exists in Windows that you would consider bloat, but it might actually be required for function part of your actual software to work. But this script is one of those scripts where it gets rid of things like telemetry, tracking, which is something that I've constantly fought against. And it's something I hate about Windows. It's already got things like search results that if you want to get rid of with Bing, Copilot, all these things right there. So to use this kind of tool, what
Slime
you
which says,
effectively have to do is
LF2
open
need
a
DPS.
PowerShell as an administrator. Now, before somebody goes, but Muda, is this safe? No, there's nothing.
No,
safe, okay?
nothing's safe.
Whenever you're clicking that Run as Administrator button, you're basically giving keys to anybody on your computer to access the most radical depths that they can go to. So again, unless you really trust something, sure, okay, fine. But this is something that I highly recommend you go of your own accord. I am not responsible for whatever happens to your computer. So as you fire up Windows PowerShell right here, what you basically do is you copy this right now, this little code, this script block create IRM, and you just basically paste it and hit enter. And what that'll do is load up that actual script right here. So in order to debloat Windows, I would think the best way to go about this is to do just the default mode. Now you could do app removal mode where you start removing things like calculator or paint or whatever tool you wanted. If you don't use the calculator in Windows, you probably don't want to keep it. You can remove it. But we're just going to go to default mode and hit 1. So what that'll do is it'll remove the default selection of apps, it'll disable telemetry, diagnostics, and app launch tracking and targeted advertisement. Disable and remove Bing Search and Cortana, which I don't even think Cortana is part of Windows, but sure.
Slime which says,
Disable tips
LF2
and
undead mines
tricks,
need DPS.
the lock screen, basically get rid of Copilot and everything you never wanted. So once you hit enter, you'll notice that Windows is going to start wiping things left and right. So as the script is executing, you can basically just like walk away a little bit. It'll take some time. You might not get any verbose information, but after a bit of time, it'll deload Windows, and then you should have a Windows that is as tracking light as you want it. So as you can see right over here, it's working, and it's removing Bing Travel, Bing Weather, Microsoft Office Hub, Power Buy for Windows, Windows Maps, Alarms, Skype app. So again, if you never ever use Skype in your system, you can actually start typing these things individually and realize, uh-oh, it all went black, everything is good, everything is now removed. Now, earlier in this video, when I was talking about like different virtual machine technologies, one of them was vGPU unlock. Now, obviously, when you work for a big company where they purchase massive cards like these NVIDIA Teslas and these like data center cards, where
Slime
they
which says,
cost
LF2
an
undead mines need
infinitely
DPS.
high amount of money compared to what you're buying at Best Buy, but they're designed for big research companies, big organizations. See, they come with special software that allow you to split GPUs or partition them for everyone around. Now, if you want to get access to this without paying a crap ton of money, then you use Hyper-V. Now, at the time, I could have bought one of these cards. Like, they're actually selling some of these NVIDIA Tesla cards for like 200 bucks on eBay. Now, I would rather trust a $3 hooker in Tijuana before I decided to even purchase a graphics card off of eBay, because I know fucking damn well what these graphic cards
What will happen.
and I know damn long how they're going to last on my home system. Now, once you actually get your graphics card installed on your main system, what you can basically do is you can go all the way to your local directory, go to the Windows directory like I'm showing you, and go to that scary, spooky System32 directory. Inside your System32 directory, there will be something known as Driver Store, File Repository, and of course, in amongst all of these folders, you're going to just keep tapping the N button until you get down to something known as the NVI, I think that's what it is, so NV Display. So once you see NV Dispy and NV Dispig, you're going to download
You are now
NV
AFK, away from
Dispy,
keyboard.
because that's the kosher one to have. You're going to copy that over to a special folder on your system that you can just call on your host device, send to virtual machine, okay, or VM. And again, once you copy it over there, your next step is to go back to that System32 directory, and inside here type in NV and then star.star, which will be your wildcard, and you're going to give it a little bit of time to search through this directory until this little magnifying glass stops shaking, and you're going to basically Control A to highlight everything in this directory, and just Control C, copy it, and copy it to a special folder where you have all of this stuff ready to go. Now, once all of this is copied, okay, you're going to go into your virtual machine directory, your Hyper-V manager. You're going to create a new virtual machine. And in the new virtual machine, what you're effectively going to do is specify a specific name. So you can call this, I don't know, I guess, GPU if you wanted to make it really easy. When you go to a specific generation, you want to make sure these are in generation 2. All right, generation 1 will not work, so don't even bother going. When it comes to memory, depending on how much memory you have in your
You are no
system,
longer AFK.
give it a healthy amount. I have 128 gigabytes. I decided to give a virtual machine 20 of those gigabytes, okay? I'm sure both systems will be just fine. Of course, in your networking, make sure you select a default switch. And when it comes to hard drive, give it like 200 gigabytes or however much you want to give it. Just because if you're going to be installing games on it, especially modern games, you're going to want to have as much space as you can reasonably allow. And of course, at that moment in time, you can download a copy of Windows 11 from the actual Windows storefront and use that to install underneath the system. And now at this moment in time, we're going to be doing a little bit of PowerShell scripting, buckos. So we're going to be splitting up our GPUs like champs. You're going to open up your terminal here real quick. And actually, you're going to want to open that up as the administrator, just because we need some administrator privileges to be running a certain command. VM host available GPU. Hit enter and copy all this information. What's important is the values that are presented here, okay? So you can see that I've got 1 billion total VRAM, available VRAM, everything. So when you're going to be writing the next part of the script, you want to make sure this script is going to allow you to be within these values. So you're not really going to be running into errors or crashes. What you're basically going to be doing is writing a script that uses around, I would say, 80% of the values you see listed here, just to basically achieve, you know, no crashes and no issues. So, first things first, you're going to do $VM equals, and you're going to type the actual name of your Hyper-V partition you made. So if you called it GPU-P, for instance, right, which in my case, if you actually go into your Hyper-V manager, you can see that once you fire it up, it'll give you the name of your actual virtual machine. So this one is Windows GPU-P. Yours can be whatever you name it. You type in Windows GPU-P, all right, not PIP, and then of course you can just bracket that off. And then of course as you go down, you want to do add, all right, VM GPU partition adapter, right, and of course it'll actually give you the fills right here. So just to tab, let it do what it needs to, dash VM name, and again, make sure you match these cases. So higher case, lower case, very important when it comes to writing scripts. This is not like
miss it, or
where maybe you might be able to get away. Computers absolutely rely on that exact definition. Set VM GPU, all right, partition adapter, and then of course VM name, all right, like that, $VM. Now at this point you're going to be entering in a few values, and this is based off a PowerShell script that I saw on level 1 tech, but I'll guide you through exactly what you need to enter. So when it comes to the first variable, minimum partition VRAM, you want to give it something like, I don't know, 80 million, for instance, right? This is just based off of my actual GPU. Your numbers will be different, and it's based on a percentage of what you saw.
Porcaro has reached level 60.
GPU table we literally queried like a minute or two earlier. So I gave it the number of 80 million. Now, I gave a max value of 800 million. So it's not going to look clean when I'm writing this out, but the idea is you have your minimum partition and your maximum partition VRAM will be, like, for me, again, 800 million. So again, it doesn't look really that different in video, and again, I could have used a better number, but the idea is these are the two numbers you're going to want to have. So one thing that you can do is open up a little notepad and just basically say, here is the minimum value, so keep that on top. And you can take the larger value and just copy it below. So immediately you can just highlight this minimum, copy it, and just paste it into this as needed. So at this point, the next thing we need to be typing in is optimal partition VRAM. And optimal and the max is always going to be the same number, okay? So the way that you look at this is the minimum, anytime you see minimum in any of these like arguments, just give it the minimum value. If you see max or optimal, give it the max value that we have. So when it comes to optimal, take that maximum value, paste it in there, and of course you want to do min partition encode, and minimum partition, obviously take that smaller value and just toss it in. So max partition encode, all right, take that large value, optimal, just copy that in there, and again optimal partition encode, you're going to take that max value and just put it in there. So minimum partition decode, again, take that really minimum value and just copy it. Max partition decode, again, the optimal, just copy it in there. Optimal partition discode, so optimal partition decode, copy that in there. And again, min partition compute, so dash min partition compute, take the minimum value from an earlier entry, and just put that in here. So, boom.
I froze to
again,
death.
Min partition, go to max partition compute, and again, these are all done in one line. So
what the hell?
That's what we're going for. So copy the optimal,
Random.
max, and again, the final one. And this is the final. Do optimal partition compute, and boom. So once that's done, your next line number 6, should be set VM guest controlled cache types, and just do $true, and then VM name, again, just like you read earlier, and do $VM. So then you want to do set VM, you want to do low memory mapped IO space, and give it something like 1G lowercase b dash VM name, and then do $VM. And of course, the final line, set VM at high memory mapped IO space, that can be something like 32 gigabytes, all capitals, VM name, and of course $VM. So that's your actual like script right here. And we did that in a matter of minutes. And the reason why I want you to go down this road and not download a script from somebody else is because A, this is going to help you learn what you're doing, and B, a lot of those scripts may end up just having issues where you might not be able to get the intended effect. This will work. So once you're effectively done over here, you can save the script somewhere on your system and just launch it. Now, if you hit the play button, you might have an issue with execution policy,
it's done.
which, if it tells you that, open up a terminal prompt, go to Run as Administrator, and inside your terminal prompt, you want to type in the word Set Execution Policy Unrestricted. And once you've done that, it will give you a little warning to say yes to it. Then you can run these scripts, and they should just run within a second, and it should all be done on your virtual machine. Now, if you go to your VM right here, back into it, you can go to Device Manager, and notice that, yes, there is in fact an RTX 4090 that is in this device. Now, for me, it says it works properly. For you, it will not, because you haven't actually connected the drivers associated with it. So to do this, open up your actual thing in the Hyper-V Manager, go to Settings, and inside your settings, where it says the hard drive, go to the hard drive, click on Browse, and it'll open this little like field, this little open box. Right-click on the actual like VHDX, and just hit Mount. And once you hit Mount, it'll open up a new folder that literally opens the actual table of your virtual machine. So in order to actually make your little virtual graphics card splitting stuff
You feel
work,
rested.
you need to make sure drivers are copied over. Now, anytime you update the actual graphics driver on your home system, you have to copy all of those files from
Right,
the
I
Windows
should leave that
directory on your
stuff.
host
Oops.
system to every virtual machine that you're running. Just because that's how this stuff works, okay? That's how this splitting stuff is going to happen. So at this moment in time, on your actual, like, virtual machine here, you go to the Windows directory, and what you're doing is you're going to System32. So down in the System32 directory, you're going to go to a folder known as Host Driver Store. Now, if you don't see this folder, and you probably won't, make this yourself. Again, same cases. Click on that. Make a new folder under it called File Repository, and just copy that NVDSPINF to this folder. Again, every time you update, you have to copy from your host directory to your virtual machine systems. Then, of course, go back to your System32 directory and copy everything from your host System32 directory that has to do with that NV file structure, and just copy it all the way over to System32 on your actual VM. Once that's done, basically go over to your computer and just unmount that system. So eject it, and you can now fire up your virtual machine, and you're good to go. Boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, does it recognize and work like normal. So about a year into this, NVIDIA has not stopped this, and I don't think they will, given the fact that this has been such a known thing at this point. And the only people that are really using it are the really, really insane wild ones, like me, who need to use this technology for, again, that idea of compartmentalizing everything in their system. Now, this is by far the best way of GPU para-virtualization that I have ever seen in modern systems. Now, obviously, do I think Linux can catch up? Absolutely. I think it'll catch up and probably be better. But for now, Windows has this one
WTS lesser wizard well
advantage that I
60s.
actually take advantage of. So, for instance, why do I use, virtual machines? For one of them, for one reason alone, is running software. So, for instance, if I wanted to record a video on my system, it helps for me recording games that oftentimes record at interestingly different resolutions. But when I'm downloading random games on the internet and random
Thomas Miller
pieces
says,
of
fresh bread for
software,
sale.
it is genuinely something that I have to watch out for. But let's say you wanted to play something with a little bit more oomph into it. Well, firing up Yakuza Kiwami 2 and running it at high settings is something that is easily possible underneath virtualization technologies like this. So you can see that I've seen the Sega screen, it's firing up, and just to show you that I'm running the game at a high resolution and a high possible graphic settings, I'm going to show you right now. This is underneath a virtual machine, by the way, that is splitting up a graphics card as we're actually talking. So here we're going to settings, we're going to graphic settings, okay, so you can see 1920 by 1080, 64 hertz, quality at ultra. Okay, now of course we can just hit continue, And of course, we go to like slot number 4, it loads up perfectly. It's almost indistinguishable from the bare metal system. It's running on an SSD, running with all the memory, and boom, here it is. You guys are playing Yakuza Kiwami 2 underneath an actual virtual machine like this. And of course, this whole thing can extend to other games as well. It's not just this one title.
That's odd. EvE died, did it? I guess so.
Like, I wonder if we can just do like a quick little fight on the street here real quick. This is when like you give me this game for like an hour to play just for footage. I'm like so overpowered in the game that I already have like all the end game shit pretty much unlocked. Nothing can defeat me in this game.
Looks horrible to me. Looks like 24 frames.
Japan is like, right? Like,
that does not look good.
You walk down the street and you just see like some dude in a suit going fucking full Dragon Ball Z on a guy. Dude, it's insane.
The hell is that?
Now again, in the previous video that I've shown about this too, also I was running games like GTA 5 on a host system, and I was running games like Resident Evil 2 Remake, both really graphically demanding games in an actual like environment, a host virtual machine style thing. But of course, like everything, there has to be give and take. And because this is a virtual machine, the problem is you're not really able to play video games that require anti-cheat underneath this. So a game like Cross Defiant from Tom Clancy's, I'm going to fire this one up. And the problem with this is because it runs on BattleEye, it doesn't have any issue running underneath this split virtualized GPU. The only issue is because we're running it in a virtual machine. BattleEye is definitely not going to be supportive of the fact when I try to play online. I'll show you exactly how it works. So of course you can see right over here, we're actually playing the game just fine actually underneath this. So you can go to things like the firing range, and of course frame rate wise it works really, really well underneath the system. So you can engage in combat, and it plays just like a full PC title, right? Now again, the big benefit of using something like this is if you ever watch the video series by like Linus Tech Tips, really anyone where they have like 6 GPUs, 6 gamers, 1 GPU. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, pretty much those videos are powered off by. It's having the ability to take all of this raw power that we buy for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and using it for more interesting things than just getting higher frame rates on the same games we've always been playing. Like I said, one of the key components for me using this was to play Elden Ring with my significant other, who didn't have a computer that I think could run that game from the GPU perspective. So to split my computer resources up and play Elden Ring cooperative with her was a pretty driving force for me. And since then, when it comes to using my computer in the best possible ways, designing one computer box that I can use to record videos, stream, edit, and everything in a clean way where I don't need to be bouncing from different streamer boxes or different like computers in general. I know that a lot of streamers use a dual PC setup. I like to have the dual PC setup, but all within one actual workstation that I can fire up within seconds at any given moment. Now the thing is, obviously, being that we're in a virtual machine, it should come to no joke that playing this online is not going to be something that's possible. So here we're going to try searching for a match, and we should absolutely not be able to play this for longer than a minute. So it's found a player, and you'll see just if I actually can make it all the way through. It would be funny if I got my account banned. Like, actually, wait, if I got my account banned on X Defiant, would it be a ban for Rainbow Six Siege as well? This is like actually my main account, dude. I probably shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I would be really worried.
Well, we're kind of looking for a little bit right now. I don't think we're going to find those last 3 people. I think X Defiant might not be as lively as I don't think this game is as poppin' as I think it is. I mean, damn. You know, I don't think we're going to find a match on that game, okay? I don't think it's going to happen. Sad as it sounds. So look, at the crux of it, the most important part of this video for me is having interesting virtual machine technologies that makes my entire computer just more easy for me to use, my workflow. So again, for me, a virtual machine is great because when I'm recording videos or I'm, you know, playing weird games or doing things, like even that game No Players Online, I was recording well in a virtual machine. Because yeah, it's cool that I'm playing games like that. I also don't trust random software. And I kind of wish Microsoft's ethos of the Xbox, where they have the same entire platform, the idea of virtualizing the software, would have carried over pretty much into how people use computers these days. Look, lately I've seen people like Linus Tech Tips get hacked very recently. I think it was about a month ago that his Twitter account actually ended up getting hacked. And the thing about his Twitter account getting hacked was it wasn't that he ran shady software, he got actually phished, classically. But to give an idea, you know, there have been times where sponsor spots, like sponsor emails, contain programs or scripts that inadvertently launched that caused serious damage to their YouTube channels for some days because they were unable to have their videos be running. It was actually a nightmare for everyone. And it's the same story for any YouTuber, big and small. So when I create virtual machines like this, it's not because I'm building these things out of like sheer nonsense. It's because compartmentalizing your system and running software in these entire VMs protects you from actual serious dangers on the internet. Serious dangers like those same sponsor scripts and those same
serious danger to your frame rate. You run so many intermediaries between a program, you're going to lose terrible frame rate. Like, it's a serious fucking risk to your frame rate, yeah. Like, you ever try to run a computer through a fucking translator or some kind of like aspect ratio program, or sorry, game through like an aspect ratio program or some such, or like a boot or like a boot manager like Linux or not Linux but DOSBox or whatever. Yeah, you lose frame rate. Not much, but some. You're gonna lose some frame rate. The kind of frame rate I would not be willing to lose. You know. As it is, I'm losing too much frame rate because I'm on a server that's too big now. Those buildings drain frames. The skyscraper town. It's really, really awesome, but people don't use it. And it seriously drains the frames. Anyways, where we go? Yep. We're going out back to Dunmurrow to Thelsamar. I wish I had some fuel. A boat would have been a lot better. Wait, there's a road right here? This almost seems better than where I was building, maybe. This is a good solid road which will pay out and it'll help me build like really strong. Nice, an axe, that's helpful. And maybe I'll just build here, I guess. I like Junkyard, it's an okay monument. There isn't really like anything to look at out here. There's no... Oh yeah, wait, never mind. There is large oil. Oh shit, you scared the fuck out of me. Are you a vendor? Yes, you are. Oh my god, you fucking scared me, man. I mean, that's kind of helpful if I had like a fucking ore. Or a paddle, I mean. Ooh, beans. What was that sound? Oh, yeah. I'm going to find a nice level 12 thing to grind for a while. I don't think I want to do these quests, not really. They're starting to send me places that might get me killed. That is going to break my axe. Can't do that very long. I mean, it's a good road. There's stone, which is like something that I kind of need. I guess I will go pop it and try to get a set of tools. We'll be flying. 1347. Oh. Keep cooking. There, that's where I want to live. That's perfect.
$271 LFM.
Aim. Look familiar.
Death tarnishes nerd next soul. Castleman says, LFG 15 in defense of the King's lands, 237.
Oh, come on! God damn it. Fucking so dumb. God damn it. Gotta look for cloth. I want to put a bag down out here. There, that might be good. Fucking so annoying. I may as well die. It's fine. Like, these runs are kind of fruitless. I can't find a place that I like.
Aggro.
Oh, I'm out of food. Oh, I suppose the lock is probably just as good. Probably get fine food there. I can't find where this quest is. Ah, you're so annoying.
Prospector
Quest accepted.
Ironband
Ironman's
is heading
excavation.
an excavation of ancient ruins east of the lake. His progress has been slow lately, especially considering all the supplies we've sent him. Ironband's a stout, honest dwarf who values results, which has me worried that forces are at work against him. Go to Ironband's excavation and speak with Magmar Felhue. He manages the details of the site and will know why there's a slowdown. To get to the excavation site, go around the southern tip of the lake, then head east.
What can I do
Your
for
skill
you?
exceeds mine, though I've heard that Old
Watch
Man
your
Hemming
back.
in Booty Bay has copies of The Bus and You. That is sure to help you increase your skill.
Oh yeah, the bass and you. Oh no. Well, what am I at now? Fishing is at... Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that's all I really need to fish, I guess. I'm terribly sorry, guys. I'm going to have to run to the restroom here. I will be right back. Oh... Okay, back. Sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. Nice.
The extreme care that I take in launching software and running things in general. It doesn't mean that we have to be closed. Obviously, getting fish is not something that is software dependent. It's something that is dependent on the person. And we've almost been fished before, as sad as it sounds. But when it comes to protecting yourself,
roll off frenzy.
Logging into things like my YouTube channel is something that I have special virtual machines for that I log into simply to transfer files to and upload videos from. And after that, the VM is never used by yours truly. Until again, I need to upload a video or have a VM fired up just so I can read chat while I'm doing a live stream. These are things that I kind of feel most people should pick up, most people should try doing. And as of recently, Microsoft has probably the best virtual machine solution at this moment in time for gaming and splitting up that hardware on your system. That doesn't mean Linux won't get there, but yeah, it's one of the things that has made me consider honestly switching to Windows. And it's probably not just that, it has a little bit to do with gaming as well. Playing a lot of these online games that my friends play and constantly keep inviting me to is kind of impossible when I'm running Linux. And so everyone else gets to play a certain game, you know, like Warzone.
Yep, and this is my issue with it. You seriously kick yourself in the nuts when you're a Linux gamer. There's no real reason to do it.
You receive loot. Roll off frenzy.
Oh my god.
You receive loot. Roll on Jamad's never.
Madness of Ocean Gate. Trump's preparing to back out of the debate. Yeah. Let's go back and look for other stuff.
Receive loot. Roll off frenzy. You receive loot. Raw bristle whisker catfish.
Your auction of light feather sold.
You receive loot. Raw brilliant small fish. You receive loot. Roll off frenzy. You receive loot. Roll off frenzy. You receive loot. 19-pound catfish. You receive loot. Roll off frenzy. You receive loot. Raw long jaw mud snapper. You receive loot. Raw long jaw mud snapper. You receive loot. Raw lock frenzy.
Oh, that's sad. Wasted my time.
Felix A says, LFM for lock mode and elites. You receive loot. Raw long jaw mud snapper. You receive loot. Raw long jaw mud snapper. You receive loot. Raw lock frenzy.
Part 3 of Dogpack 404's expose series on Mr. Beast was set to come out on the 25th of August 2024, and I was like really hyped for it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
This video was recorded before Dogpack released Part 3.
Dogpack said that there are 3 main issues that have been postponing its release. Firstly, he needs to get the video approved by the victim's legal teams before he posts it. Apparently, the video was also age restricted upon upload, which would completely destroy its visibility, so he wants to get that sorted out. And he also wants to wait to release some information after Jimmy responds, so he's editing the video a bit. Now, I personally think that he should not wait for Jimmy to respond because with some serious allegations here, it's kind of important to get it out, like, you know, as soon as possible to prevent further victims of whatever the purported crimes may be from happening. Like, if this stuff is still ongoing at the company, it's good to, like, get the information out so it doesn't happen again. But obviously, it does make sense to wait for the approval of the victims and their legal teams before it gets released. I just feel like saving ammo for later may be somewhat cringe, but whatever. What we're talking about today is not the leaked document written by Mr. Beast, which describes his strategies around creating content. I already covered that, and it's on the Tom Dark Live channel if you want to see my reaction to it. Instead, we're going over a Google document initially released by Dogpack 404. It's become a big subject of conversation recently due to it having some interesting sections. Sections which were initially planned to be a part of the first video about Mr. Beast, but were ultimately removed entirely.
And multiple people at Mr. Beast talked to me about this theory as if they legitimately believe there is a chance that Mr. Beast is the Antichrist.
We did it! The bitter Antichrist is born, bringing 1,000 years of darkness to the forest.
Introduction. My name is Dawson. I'm a former Mr. Beast employee trying to expose what I believe to be highly unethical and illegal practices at the company. This document contains evidence for part 1 of this ongoing investigation. Here is the video I made on this part of the investigation. Why am I doing this? Money? None of this is monetized. I'm happy to make $0 off of this and then switch industries. Actually, after being let go from Mr. Beast, I was immediately hired by one of Jimmy's friends at the same raid. I stopped working for him by choice on July 19th, 5 days ago at the time of writing. So I'm actually losing money to do this. Clout? I've been in this industry for 10 years. I started as an on-camera personality, but switched to being behind the scenes and have enjoyed that life more. I've worked with big influencers, but always avoided the camera like the plague. Who did this guy work for? I'm so curious who this guy has worked for. Has he been on-camera talent in other videos and I just haven't found it? Kind of off topic, but I'm super curious about the history of Dogpack 404. I have no active personal social media, so I don't think I'm motivated by clout. I'm not responding to DMs or inquiries from the media, opting instead for Reddit AMAs since they aren't monetized and everything is permanent in writing. I'm an open book. Sometimes I get small details wrong, but I won't have any mistakes. And then he follows up here saying, try getting a straight answer from Mr. Beast on any of these accusations, saying, well, I'm an open book and Mr. Beast is not. My reason for doing this is that I believe Mr. Beast is a corrupt organization that is bad for humanity, despite their glowing public image. I've been consistent before I got hired that I believe children use YouTube as a form of play.
You're so
evolve
dumb.
Way to learn and practice skills for later life. I've studied play at length, and I would consider myself a first-generation iPad kid, so I understand firsthand the role content can play.
What does that mean?
I think I'm probably a first-generation iPad kid too. I remember, I think at one point, I don't know if I stole my mom's credit card when I was like 9 or 10, but I think I definitely used her payment method without permission to purchase gems on Clash of Clans. It was a fun time. Okay, shout out any iPad children out there. So I was often appalled when higher-ups at the company would talk about sophisticated ways to exploit children's psychological development for their own gain, while disregarding the well-being of those children. Recently, grooming allegations came out against Mr. Beast's co-star Chris Tyson. I believe the company was aware of evidence against Chris Tyson long before these accusations came out.
Clash Royale was good.
Try to cover up the evidence for a long time. All right, well, big claim there. Hopefully, there's some, definitive stuff there. I mean, obviously, we know Mr. Beast at the very least knew that Chris was a fan of Shadman, but beyond that, I don't believe we have any definitive proof that Mr. Beast knew what Chris was up to. He was in that Chris Tyson server. They got a lot of, conversation around it, including from people like me. But to me, there wasn't anything that showed definitively he knew everything that was going on there, like the ages of the people there. It's very possible, but I just don't know. All right, this section is titled Mr. Beast's Secret Formula. 1, condition the viewer to see Mr. Beast as a trusted authority. 2, show the viewer that loyal followers are given big rewards by Mr. Beast. And 3, call on the viewer to act and promise big rewards in return. And based on that, we have a graphic of the 3 major types of behavioral learning. We have classical conditioning, which is a neutral stimulus is associated with a natural response. Then we have observational learning, which is learning occurs through observation and imitation of others. And they have here a graphic of a guy with a shirt, I guess this kid's dad, and then the kid is following him by imitating him, right? And then we have operant conditioning, like with, Pavlov's dog, if you guys know that from whatever science class you took in high school. And you have a rat that's pushing a lever and getting food, and it says a response is increased or decreased due to reinforcement or punishment. Then we have a few sources titled lie detector test, parentheses, he never lies. And if we click that, we get a moment here from a Mr. Beast video. The video is titled I paid a lie detector to investigate my friends.
Boys, you ready?
Born ready!
Ready, Freddy!
Jimmy, do you actually think that Hershey's is disgusting?
Yes, 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 yes. 10,000 times more yes.
That is 10,000 times true.
Okay, so I guess here we're just getting him talking about how Hershey sucks. I will say, listen, Mr. Beast, you can say what you want, buddy, but I personally think that your chocolate bar tastes like Dookie, okay? Tastes really bad. Are you subscribed? Parentheses, originally in Mr. Beast's Marathon and Large Shoes video.
You said you're subscribed to me?
Yeah.
Prove it. As you can see here, he is subscribed. Here's some money.
Oh my God.
Are you guys subscribed? No? No? Oh, darn. Okay, I'm gonna get back to my marathon. Hit that subscribe button because you might bump into me in real life and it might make you a lot of money. Is he subscribed? You are subscribed. Here's some money. Have a good day.
Here's some money.
You are now
so this is showing, I guess, basically the operant conditioning of someone is offered a reward in exchange for an action. So like, the rat pushes the lever, he gets the food. This person is subscribed, so they get the money. This one, I think, actually could be more imitation because he doesn't offer money to the people who aren't subscribed. He just says, hey, you're already subscribed, so you get the reward. So therefore, the other people should imitate, him. Children presumably should imitate him because they could get money as the imitation there, I think. And then we have a link that says exploring the influences of YouTubers on adolescents' identity. This looks like it's a report, some kind of study from the Department of Educational Sciences, and it's going over the effects that YouTubers can have on a child adolescent. So we'll read the summary here. Abstract. This qualitative research study investigated the influence of YouTubers on adolescents' identity construction by exploring interactions between YouTubers and adolescents. Towards this goal, this study intended to examine YouTubers' role in adolescents' lives in terms of mindset and daily practices. In this interpretive, phenomenological study, the analyses of the data collected from 10 adolescents through semi-structured interviews revealed that YouTubers guided adolescents to become integrated into the society by noticing the similar aspects of their identities, such as feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. Furthermore, YouTubers have been found to assist adolescents to discover their individuality through their videos and comments of other viewers on these videos. Also, it has been observed that the exploration option in the range of social interactions extended thanks to the YouTubers. However, adolescents sometimes overly identify themselves with a YouTuber YouTubers, imitated them, and implemented the YouTubers' recommendations without questioning. So we read that. We're going to skip the meat of this, but we will read the implications and conclusion section from this study. In this section, we discuss the implications of our study by addressing 2 questions. 1, what do adolescents' interactions with YouTubers teach us about the uses of media literacy? And 2, what does the role YouTubers play in adolescents' life suggest for the development of media literacies and for further research? The first question is theoretical. It seeks an improved understanding of conceptual foundations of dialogue as reflected in the lives of adolescents. The second question, which focuses on practical implications, is considered in terms of how adolescents can be empowered with effective critical skills to use YouTube for their benefit. In the previous section, we described that adolescents are affected from YouTubers during their identity development in terms of both the construction process and the outcomes. Predominantly, it was seen that adolescents quite benefit from YouTubers and their videos in the identity formation process because YouTubers enhance the inspiration opportunities for adolescents and expand their interaction zone. Moreover, YouTubers pave the way for personal growth for adolescents by allowing for perspective-taking skills, proving information in many topics, and acting like a personal life coach. All of these help adolescents explore themselves more deeply and influence their decision-making process in real life. Furthermore, YouTubers assist adolescents to be coherently integrated into the society by helping adolescents feel like they belong to the same group, thus having some sort of social approval. So essentially they're saying like the parasocial relationship the, child audience has with the YouTuber. If they feel like they have things in common with that YouTuber, then they feel like there's like a greater world out there of people who have things in common with them that they can interact with, and it benefits them in that way, right? That's what this conclusion of this study is saying. In addition, YouTubers enable adolescents to notice their unique characteristics, such as having distinct reactions to YouTubers' discourse or behavior. These findings indicated that YouTubers contribute to fundamental dimensions of identity notion. However, the present study also showed that YouTubers might hinder the identity exploration process because adolescents identify themselves with YouTubers more than they should, and they renounce their individuality for the sake of being like the YouTubers they follow. Ugh, man, we got a lot of reading to do. It was also found that adolescents' daily practices and mindsets are highly affected by YouTubers' thoughts and suggestions. One of the most striking findings of the study is that in spite of the findings mentioned above, adolescents stated that they are not affected from YouTubers, which indicates an urgent need to increase the awareness of adolescents. So the kids apparently don't even realize that they do have some, effect on them.
What? I couldn't even get the fucking arrow strung before some piece of shit grub was on me. Fucking loser game.
Following, commenting, or emailing. They find a chance to meet their social needs, such as social approval, acceptance, and sense of belonging, by watching particular YouTubers and participating in the virtual world they have created. Moreover, adolescents also prefer to watch YouTubers' videos in order to disregard their actual needs.
Nice.
That is, adolescents, as the findings revealed, watch YouTubers to ignore their boredom, loneliness, and frustration. Yeah, escapism, essentially, right? They ignore their typical problems in real life that they may be facing in exchange for, oh, I'll just put on a YouTube video, don't worry about it. That's what we're doing here, guys. Okay, that's what you do with me. I know.
Nope.
Therefore, this study proposed that YouTubers take the place of emotional pacifiers for soothing unpleasant feelings. Virtual friend achieved. This study indicated that adolescents resort to YouTubers' videos and comments in order to gain self-knowledge. They try to start out their position among the same group, and to what extent their thoughts and behaviors are coherent when compared to others. This indicates that they could not receive sufficient feedback from their immediate social environment. The findings call for further research to explore the underlying reasons of why adolescents resort to social media platforms to gain self-knowledge. Therefore, various counseling programs aiming to gain awareness, blah, blah, blah. Essentially what they're saying here is like they want to do more research into this, but there seems to be a trend of adolescents, teenagers, kids, whatever you want to call them, instead of finding themselves through the real world, they choose to find themselves through the online world because it's a much easier avenue. And on top of that, the, finding themselves through the online world and like how that may affect their personal sense of self is not really something they're aware of. They're not aware of the impact of social media on them.
You're going surfing on the internet.
All right, we're going to get back to the document at hand, but I thought that was an interesting excerpt to, see how research has informed Dogpack's videos. Here we have a section called Fake Videos, and Dogpack shows one specific thumbnail of Train versus Giant Pit. And then we have this guy saying, "Hey, Mr. Beast, Turkish YouTuber Borak Gungor," what a Turkish name, Jesus, "said your last video is CGI and totally fake. What do you want to say to him?" Mr. Beast says, "I clicked and watched a bit. He said the buses we dropped in the pit are not real, but I don't know how I'd even fake that if I wanted to." I mean, obviously, you make like a 3D animation of it, right? They do this in movies all the time. How do they make Iron Man fly? How could I even fake that? Well, you 3D animate it, right? And then we have screenshots from the video that seem to indicate that it is fake, just like, CGI effects they're using, right? He says this video used tons of deceptive CGI, but Jimmy denied it on Twitter.
Have you ever faked a video?
No.
But this train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, Shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this raccoon is a paid actor, the island costs more than $1, this city is not abandoned, buildings are CGI, and that's your only way out. You can literally literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker. It's just a guy. This whole room is fake. This contestant is an actor and a secret employee at Mr. Beast. They had him got through this fake door twice. This line is scripted. This action.
This YouTuber who makes sets and props is fake.
And then we have a screenshot of the world's most
You're fake, bitch. You're the one sucking on his nuts all day, you goddamn stalker piece of shit. Fucking born loser.
And then we have a picture of XQC reacting to a Mr. Beast video where the caption here is, I don't know how I'd fake that if I wanted to, lol. And that's Mr. Beast's quote, basically. And we see this, I'd say, pretty clearly, like, fake shot of a bunch of spikes in the spike pit. Dogpack writes, this video also used terrible CGI. The contestant is Mac Hopkins, former editor for Airac. Now he's a secret employee at Mr. Beast. Allegedly, he was an employee during this video. I've also heard rumors that this was part of his compensation. However, that seems speculative to me. Many actions and lines were scripted, same with all the other Mac videos. Note Mac's involvement in faking videos with Airac, also doxing and bullying a pilot, and lying about giving 10 grand to a fake struggling town during COVID. And he links a video here from a channel called Soggy Cereal, another commentary channel on YouTube titled Airac, Lying, Doxing, and Fake Donations.
Where the entire premise of the challenge is built on the charitable act of our selfless hero Airac, risking his life traveling over 38 miles of ice, trying to get to a small town called The Angle, which had a completely ravaged economy because of COVID and zero tourism as a result.
Due to COVID restrictions in Canada, The Angle has turned into an island where nobody can come in and nobody can leave. Now they've lost over $10 million of normal tourist money. So our goal is to stop into The Angle and spend the most amount of money. Empty my bank account type of money.
So before they start the challenge, they first go to the northernmost point in the US.
The boys, we had to get shuttled 2.5 hours to the most northern point of the United States,
where they assemble special ice bikes. And see those cabins over there? Well, I need you guys to help me out, be my co-detectives, and remember what they look like, because they'll be very important later on.
See, this is better. I like this some more. It's more random and funny.
And instantly, our selfless heroes start talking about how they're going to be spending all of this money and selflessly support the struggling and bankrupting family businesses in The Angle.
Now that we have made it to The Angle, as I had previously mentioned, the goal was to empty the entire Airac bank account in order to give back to the lack of tourism in The Angle. So we had a lot of work.
So first of all, they paid a few $1,000s for these extremely nice cabins. Wait a second, those cabins over there? Well, remember what they look like. These look like the same cabins as where they assembled the ice bikes. These are the exact same cabins in the same...
You are such a dick-sucking nerd. Listen to you suck on that dick. Oh my god. Sucking on that dick. You're just sucking on it. You really want that penis in your mouth. Jesus fucking Christ. His penis will never be in your mouth. Like I tell my stalker, you know? I don't know.
Point for that. A town 200,000 feet away from The Angle. Yeah, Airac, I know about the Sportsman Lodge Resort. You sweating yet?
Then he shows other screenshots. Here we have this one that says, I survived 7 days in an abandoned city. Then we have a picture from the video and it says, these buildings do not exist. And it says, world's most famous YouTuber, Mr. Beast, closes off area for filming in Croatia. So this is like an article title from Croatia Week in the entertainment category.
Croatia Week.
And the community note says, the city is not abandoned and was locked to the public for shooting the video. Furthermore, the 7 days were not consecutive as some team members suffered medical problems. Other than claimed in the video, the hotel is accessible directly by car, not just by helicopter. And then we have a screenshot of the video and it shows various locations that were used here. We have another screenshot of the video which shows the hotel, I guess, that was supposedly abandoned. And then we have a picture of an Uber app showing that you can in fact Uber from Kupari.
Oh, damn it.
Airport, showing that you can actually travel there and it's not that difficult. And then Dogpack captions this with, not an abandoned city, 7 days were not consecutive, there was no lurker. And it does seem to me like, you know, this is ultimately true. I think this video was faked, you know. Then we have screenshots from this video titled Ages 1 to 100 Decide Who Wins 250 grand. And we have pictures of various contestants. Screenshots from the video, and it says here, the infamous 42 and 58 revenge storyline was mostly fabricated. 58 just didn't hear 42. 58's wink here was added in post.
If you look over here, you'll see $250,000. Not to be confused with the other $250,000. And one of you can walk out with this one right now. What? That really
ante up the stakes a bit.
We have officially blacked out all 20 queues. If only one of you voluntarily step out and eliminate yourself, you win this $250,000. But if any more than one of you try to go for it, you'll be eliminated and win nothing. The timer has started. Let's see if someone wins $250,000.
I literally missed out on $100,000 today. This time, I'm gonna go exactly what I came here for. Just letting you know, I will be stepping out. So if you want to join me, then we can be losers together.
As of right now, 42s will walk away with $250,000.
50s hanging tight.
Like a rock.
Casey, you sticking?
Casey's staying.
Really? That was it? Oh my god.
2. Step out now or forever hold your peace. 1. Time is up. Let's see if someone just won $250,000. Guards, drop the curtains.
So dumb.
If you look around, you'll see that 42 was the only one to step out. Until 2 seconds remained. And someone all the way over there stepped out at the last second.
Oh my god! Sorry, 42.
They say, go big or go home.
40's just lost their leader.
Oh.
And you guys are still playing. Just remember that.
This is tough.
You both rolled the dice, and it didn't work out.
I made my voice very loud and clear, and you knew what was going to happen, so you basically said, money. I don't like it.
It happens.
That's okay.
Many voice lines were added in post. Parentheses, there is a voiceover booth in the studio. Multiple shots reveal that timers have been edited in post to make results look closer than they are in reality. Notice the timer in this clip. Mr. Beast edited the same scene after uploading it to hide the mistake. So if we click this clip, the timer here, and then Mr. Beast edited the same scene. Oh yeah. So it says, you know, he is kind of hiding the mistake here, right? You can see that. Then it says same thing here, where for a few frames you can see the timer behind Jimmy read 22:11. Also, the time indicator during this ad read is manipulated in a deceptive way.
And it got to the point where there was going to be an ad, a sponsored segment in the video. And sometimes when I do sponsors, if the company allows me, some don't allow me to pay attention to those, but I like to put a little progress bar on the bottom of the screen that kind of tracks as the sponsor is going, so you know how much is left of the sponsor, you know kind of if you plan to skip ahead, which you have the right to do, when the ad will be over. And I noticed that this video has that, but let's watch the progress bar as it goes. Here comes the ad. Whoa, we're flying through this ad. Look at that. We're absolutely zooming through this sponsor right now. We're only like 5 seconds in. As we continue to go on, now we're about, I don't know, 20 seconds in. This bar, kind of coming to a screeching halt. It's not really going super fast anymore. That's weird. Jimmy, what the hell is this, man? So weird. It's such a weird, misleading thing to do. It's like I want to trick people into thinking that the ad is going to be really quick. It's going to be like 10 seconds and we'll be done. Don't worry about skipping forward. But it's such a lie. I mean, this is a lie, right? That's just so weird. I'm sure it's, you know, there's no legal reason that you can't do that, but I watched that and I was like, yeah, it made me feel gross. I don't know.
All right, so now we have a screenshot of 100 boys versus 100 girls for $500,000. Multiple female Mr. Beast employees can be seen competing in this boys versus girls challenge, although this was not disclosed in the video. Allegedly, due to several female workers getting out early, the production team took steps to get more boys out, ultimately rigging the results so the girls only won. It is a common practice at Mr. Beast to include employees, friends, or family in the competition without disclosing it, often referring to them as contestants or random subscribers. I mean, I think that was pretty clearly shown from Dogpack's first video. This is just kind of reiterating that on the same points, but yeah, for sure. I mean, the sources seem to line up here. Now we have a picture that says extreme $1 million hide and seek with Logan Paul looking like he just saw Jeff the Killer while hanging off the side of a building. And then Dogpack writes, in this YouTube Originals influencer hide and seek video, Mr. Beast was accused of deceptively editing Rosanna Pansino and Quackity out of the top 3, favoring Logan Paul. When directly accused in DMs by Rosanna, Jimmy did not deny the claim. So this is the girl Rosanna Pansino who's been calling out Jimmy for a long time, saying she deserved more airtime in the video. And we have her saying, why did you lie? Why did you say in the video that you found Logan literally 1 minute before Zach? I outlasted Logan and was proud of what I accomplished. It actually built some confidence in myself that wasn't there before. And Mr. Beast said, I don't know, been a while. Let's call and figure it out. And she she says, I'll give you some time to look into it and remember, and then we can discuss. I'm more than happy to review all the raw footage to help show the timeline of events. Feel free to send it over to my team. Let me know. And then we have the second screenshot where previous to this, Mr. Beast said, obviously I wasn't trying to make you look bad. Just give me a time and we can chat. I'm not mad or anything. Just want to help. And she seemed like she didn't want to help in that situation. And Dogbag goes on to link an article from Time Magazine talking about this. Now we have a video titled 50 YouTubers Fight for $1 Million. This is one of the more recent videos on the Mr. Beast channel. Here we have a clip titled Ludwig shares his opinion on how this video was rigged in favor of Logan Paul and KSI.
I think this might be the right time to bring up my conspiracy theory. Okay? I have a conspiracy theory, or maybe I should say I had a conspiracy theory, that this competition in some way was rigged for Logan Paul. I'll explain. I told you guys earlier, 48 of the 50 people rode to the site together on a bus. 2 of the people who didn't were Logan Paul and KSI. They were already at the building, which I found weird. All right? Now, for this first challenge, he knew that it was basketball. I don't know how he knew. He might have got it from a guard. But all the contestants, there's starting to be whispers that the first challenge was basketball related. Logan knew that. All right? I thought that was weird that he knew that. And that now everyone else knew that it was basketball related. Okay? It continues. When there was the Squid Game challenge, he walked up to this group after, I believe her name is Lexi Rivera, said to, I think, Ray and someone else, I forget exactly who's in this group, she said, I want to leave, give me the umbrella. Lexi Rivera said that. Logan joined the group after that was said. All right? I've heard whispers that this is what happened. Okay? So he knew, this is before, by the way, we knew it was Squid Game. All right, it's in Logan's video.
In Jadion's vlog, it's confirmed that at least KSI had prior knowledge of one of the challenges. Personally, I believe here he's telling a half-truth here.
I'm intrigued as to what some of the challenges are. I know what one of them is. What? Our biggest fan from all of us. And they're going to come out, and then Jimmy's going to be like, if you can make this free throw, you give your fan gets a saboteur.
Logan Paul also clearly acts in a way that would indicate he has knowledge, but is trying to pretend that he does not. Like when he instantly folds on, I don't think we should team up, or when he's overly vocal about the fact he doesn't know this challenge was a cooking challenge. Is it an escape room? I would bet my life savings he knew. Perhaps Mr. Beast has some unannounced association with Prime, so he's financially incentivized to boost Logan Paul and KSI's brand. I'm not sure. Fuck, this is so long. Now we have a video titled 7 Days Stranded at Sea. Then we see the thumbnail there with Mr. Beast laying on like a castaway raft, basically. And then we have a screenshot of what says Day 5. During the Day 5 storm in this video, for a few frames at the end of the time-lapse before a hard cut, we can see no one is in the shelter. Allegedly, they slept on a nearby production boat. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. I would imagine that, you know, it wasn't a good idea to have them sleep in the storm, if I had to guess. I mean, the video's still fake, but, you know, having those people sleep in a storm would probably be a bad idea. Bad idea. I don't personally want to sleep in a storm, even for a Mr. Beast video. Then we have a screenshot of the video titled, In 10 minutes, this room will explode. Then we have a picture of the timer there on top of this room that's going to explode. And then we have a screenshot of it saying floor 2 with a picture of this like laser wire challenge. The intro in this real-time video is clearly sped up and the timer is added in post. At 5:22, the